Chapter 308. Challenging and being challenged, the sword puppet has finally escaped. Sensing that the sword puppet had escaped into the sea and that its pursuit was getting weaker, Yi Qinfeng heaved a sigh of relief and smiled faintly. Although he would be in great danger without the protection of the sword puppet, he felt that it was worth the risk to snatch that mysterious ancient egg. Moreover, he was not prepared to stay in the Tower of Massacre for too long. After killing the blood-slaughtering Sword King and obtaining his treasures, Yi Qinfeng decided to leave Massacre City immediately. When he was strong enough in the future and no longer feared the threat of Massacre City, he would return here. "Kid, where are you going?" Yi Qinfeng was just about to leave to find the Ice Fan King who had won the bid for the Sanguine Soul Grass when a cold voice entered his ears. The silver-haired old man, who had spent more than 8,000 slaughter points because of Yi Qinfeng's competition, was looking at him coldly. "What's the matter?" Yi Qinfeng frowned slightly as he looked coldly at the silver-haired old man who harbored ill intentions. "Kid, I challenge you. Do you dare to accept?" The silver-haired old man opened his mouth, revealing a mouthful of yellow teeth as he spoke provocatively. "Challenge me?" Hearing the silver-haired old man's words, Yi Qinfeng smiled. The silver-haired old man was only at the peak of a level 6 mystic beast ancestor. Even if he had won the bid for a top-grade, earth-level heart-protecting mirror, it would not pose any threat to Yi Qinfeng. "Kid, what are you smiling about?" Seeing Yi Qinfeng's sudden smile, the silver-haired old man's face darkened as he asked in a low voice. "Nothing. I accept your challenge." Yi Qinfeng smiled and readily agreed. "Let's go. How about we go to the martial arts competition now?" The silver-haired old man did not expect Yi Qinfeng to agree so readily. Looking at his relaxed appearance, he suddenly felt uneasy. However, he repeatedly sensed Yi Qinfeng's strength and confirmed that he was only a level 4 mystic beast ancestor. He relaxed and said coldly, "Since you're rushing to your death, I'll fulfill your wish." "You don't know the meaning of death." Yi Qinfeng shook his head. He could not be bothered to talk nonsense with the silver-haired old man and headed straight for the battle arena. Because of the dispute just now, the entrance to the arena was severely damaged, but it did not affect the battle. Yi Qinfeng leaped and landed in an empty arena. "Yes, Ice Fan King." Suddenly, a familiar figure entered Yi Qinfeng's eyes. He hadn't expected that his first target, the Ice Fan King, would appear in the arena instead of chasing after the sword puppet. He was preparing to fight someone. Clearly, after the auction ended, many people were the same as Yi Qinfeng. They wanted to obtain the treasures they wanted through martial duels. "Brat, it's your honor to die at my hands. For the sake of that bottle of celestial stone jade, I can give you a quick death." The silver-haired old man revealed a sinister smile as he spoke savagely. He took out a demon-headed broadsword and prepared to attack. "Hold on," Yi Qinfeng suddenly spoke. "What? Scared? But it's too late." The silver-haired old man sneered, believing that Yi Qinfeng had become timid. "Ice Fan King, I'll challenge you in a moment. Do you dare accept?" Yi Qinfeng ignored the silver-haired old man's mockery. He lightly turned around and looked at the Ice Fan King, who was exuding a sinister aura and holding a fan with 100 beasts drawn on it. "What? He wants to challenge the Ice Fan King." The silver-haired old man's sinister smile instantly froze. His eyes widened as he stared at Yi Qinfeng as if he were looking at a monster. A level 4 mystic beast ancestor challenging a supreme king. If there wasn't something wrong with his head, then he had absolute confidence in his own strength. Could it be that this brat is pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger and actually has the strength to contend against a supreme king? A frightening thought appeared in the silver-haired old man's mind. The more he thought about it, the more afraid he became. Beads of sweat appeared on his forehead as he somewhat regretted his rashness. He had not investigated Yi Qinfeng's true strength before blindly challenging him. "Challenge me?" The Ice Fan King, who was preparing to attack, was startled. He revealed a disdainful smile as he looked at Yi Qinfeng and said, "Let's talk about it after you defeat him. I truly have no interest in exchanging blows with weaklings. If I defeat him, do you dare accept my challenge?" The sanguine soul grass was too important to Yi Qinfeng, so he persistently asked, "Fine. If you defeat him, I'll play with you." The Ice Fan King revealed an arrogant smile as he warned, "But I won't show mercy to weaklings. If you fight with me, you'll definitely die." "It's not certain who will die yet." Yi Qinfeng sneered and shifted his gaze to the uneasy, silver-haired old man. He coldly said, "Okay, let's begin." "Wait, I didn't mean any harm. Please show mercy." Sensing the sudden sharpness of Yi Qinfeng's aura, the silver-haired old man's uneasiness grew stronger and stronger. "I won't show mercy to weaklings. Make your move." Yi Qinfeng ignored the silver-haired old man's pleas. He knew very well that if he did not have absolute strength, the silver-haired old man would definitely not let him go. "Fine, fine. You force my hand." Sensing Yi Qinfeng's battle intent, the silver-haired old man knew that this battle was unavoidable. He steeled his heart and put on the top-grade, earth-tier heart-protecting mirror he had obtained from the auction. A colorful, poisonous spider appeared on his body. The silver-haired old man roared and quickly fused with the spider, increasing his strength to the greatest extent. Wielding the supreme grade earth tool skeletal blade, he attacked Yi Qinfeng. Silver wind blade slash. Streaks of white blade light slashed out continuously, sweeping towards Yi Qinfeng like a surging tide. The impenetrable blade, shadows, shrouded him. Although Yi Qinfeng's realm was not as good as the silver-haired old man, his physical strength was more than 1,000,000 Jin, which was more terrifying than an ordinary class for a heavenly beast. Facing the silver-haired old man's soul skill attack, Yi Qinfeng did not fuse with his spiritual beast, the double-headed Blood Dragon King. Instead, he simply operated his 6 Meridians Divine Gang to exert his physical strength to the extreme. Cloud-breaking palm. Yi Qinfeng roared, and the strength of 1,000,000 Jin completely erupted. He condensed an unparalleled handprint and bombarded the falling silver wind blade slash. Wherever the handprint went, the air exploded and the airflow surged, tearing the silver wind blade slash apart. The remaining power bombarded the silver-haired old man, whose face changed drastically. What? The silver-haired old man did not expect that his strongest blade would be easily broken by Yi Qinfeng. His heart trembled, and he quickly dodged. At the moment he dodged, a shadow flashed in front of him at an extremely fast speed. Yi Qinfeng had compressed his strength to the extreme and bombarded his chest with a punch. Boom! A loud vibration sounded from the heart protection mirror he was wearing. The power of 1,000,000 Jin surging from Yi Qinfeng's fist forcibly penetrated the defense of the heart protection mirror and surged into his body, sending him flying. Impossible! How can his physical strength be so terrifying? Having personally experienced the horror of Yi Qinfeng's strength, the silver-haired old man, who was spurting blood, was terrified. Even the low-grade earth tool heart protection mirror could not withstand it. Just as he opened his mouth to admit defeat, an extremely fast sword light, full of perfect sword momentum, flashed in front of his eyes. The sword broke through his body's defense and pierced his throat. Suddenly, a large amount of blood spurted out, dyeing his body red. Soul-devouring tactic devour! In the next moment, Yi Qinfeng's body flashed and appeared behind the silver-haired old man before he died. He activated the soul-devouring tactic and devoured his spiritual beast, ending his life and taking away his belongings. At this moment, the Ice Fan King had also killed his opponent with a wave of his fan. He looked at Yi Qinfeng, who had challenged him. Coincidentally, his eyes met Yi Qinfeng's and invisible sparks surged. Mobile reading site. Book address. To facilitate your next reading, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. You will see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blogs, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 309. Killing a King. Ice Fan King. You don't have any more excuses now, do you? The corners of Yi Qinfeng's mouth curled up slightly. His gaze was sharp as he looked at the Ice Fan King. Haha, what an interesting person. The Ice Fan King laughed loudly. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. With that, the Ice Fan King condensed a pair of faint red soul wings and flew over at an extremely fast speed, emitting a bone-chilling cold. Screech! An ear-piercing bird cry rang out. A large bird with a wingspan of over 10 meters, covered in white feathers, and a single black horn on its head flew out of the Ice Fan King's body. It whistled as it attacked Yi Qinfeng. Facing the attack of the Ice Fan King's spiritual beast, the black-horned ice bird, Yi Qinfeng's pupil shrank, but he did not dodge. He quickly took a step forward, and a thunderous sound rang out. All the energy in his body surged into his palm like a surging tide, blasting out a shocking palm print that wanted to shatter the sky. Cloud-crushing palm. With a palm print, the cloud-crushing palm, which contained a force of 500,000 kilograms of force, slammed into the black-horned ice bird. The shocking power of the palm print shattered the black-horned ice bird's attack and sent it flying. Small cracks spread across the black-horned ice bird's body. 500,000 kilograms of force? How do you have such terrifying physical strength? The black-horned ice bird was shattered by Yi Qinfeng's palm, and the Ice Fan King immediately suffered a soul power backlash. All the blood in his body roiled violently, and he took a deep breath, forcibly suppressing the surging blood in his body as he spoke with a gloomy expression. If you want to fight, then fight. What's with all the nonsense? Yi Qinfeng waved his arm, forming a hurricane that sent the silver-haired elder's corpse flying. He raised the titanic fault heavenly sword high and pointed it at the Ice Fan King. N, a mid-grade heaven artifact. In the entire Tower of Slaughter, there were only a handful of people with mid-grade heaven artifacts. Sensing the grade of the titanic fault heavenly sword, the Ice Fan King revealed a serious expression. 8 Slaughter Azura Art. While Ice Fan King was still in shock, Yi Qinfeng activated the 8 Sha Azura Art and formed 2 killing halos, increasing his attack power by 2-fold. He then stabbed his sword toward Ice Fan King's chest. Facing Yi Qinfeng's attack, the Ice Fan King moved his finger, and the 100-beast jade fan in his hand opened like a peacock spreading its tail. Rays of cold light shone from the jade fan, blocking Yi Qinfeng's attack. Perfect sword force, 1 million gene of strength break. The titanic fault heavenly sword was blocked by a large amount of cold light. Yi Qinfeng immediately erupted with a perfect sword aura and 500,000 gene of strength. He broke through the cold light with a single sword strike and struck the 100-beast jade fan in Ice Fan King's hand. Dazzling streams of fiery light surged out as Yi Qinfeng forcibly knocked back the careless Jade Fan King with an irresistible force. Tornado! After experiencing Yi Qinfeng's astonishing attack power, Ice Fan King became serious. He quickly stabilized his body and fanned the 100-beast jade fan. Powerful streams of air were attracted by the fan like rivers flowing into the sea. They formed a tornado that could engulf heaven and earth, wreaking havoc as they swept toward Yi Qinfeng. 4 slaughter styles, demon slaughter. Yi Qinfeng lightly tapped the ground with the tip of his foot, and his entire body flew into the air. The unrivaled sword light extended to over 30 meters. The demon slaughter sword light that was filled with the power of slaughter slashed toward the tornado in an arc, looking from afar. Yi Qinfeng's sword strike was like a crescent moon descending to the mortal world. It collided with the tornado, and endless waves of wind wantonly spread out, causing the air to fluctuate and become chaotic. I want to see how many rounds of attacks you can withstand. Ice Fan King realized that Yi Qinfeng was far more difficult to deal with than he had imagined. He quickly threw an ice bead into his mouth, and a bone-chilling cold air was released from his body. Ice Fan King used his trump card, and his strength rose steadily. Yi Qinfeng no longer held back. The two-headed Blood Dragon King, which was over 3,000 meters long and covered in thick blood dragon scales, emerged from his body. When he merged with the two-headed Blood Dragon King, his strength rose steadily and reached the level of a first-level Defiant Beast King. A first-level Defiant Beast King. How did his strength increase so much? A top-level spiritual beast is really so terrifying. Sensing Yi Qinfeng's sudden increase in strength, Ice Fan King's expression changed drastically. He knew that he had to do his best. Otherwise, he was afraid that he would fail miserably. Dancing Ice River. Ice Fan King's right hand suddenly shook the 100-beast jade fan. A large amount of cold air gathered and turned into a crystal-clear ice river that emitted dense cold air. It froze the void and attacked Yi Qinfeng. Massacre 4th style, star slashing. After merging with the two-headed Blood Dragon King, Yi Qinfeng's battle intent reached its peak. He slashed out with his sword, and a meteor-like sword light streaked across the sky and tore the ice river apart. Rumble. Dense air explosions rang out, and the suffocating sword light pierced toward Ice Fan King's chest, forcing him to dodge quickly. Ancient Frost Mystic Ice, Ice Seal. The moment Ice Fan King dodged, a large amount of cold air gushed out of Yi Qinfeng's body and sealed the Ice Fan King's body, slowing his speed. Then, the purple spiritual thunder turned into an endless amount of violent lightning, and the green spirit fire turned into a fireball, which bombarded his body and sent him flying. Why you're that Yi Qinfeng? After being attacked by the ancient frost mystic ice, the green spiritual fire, and the purple spiritual thunder, the Ice Fan King, who was heavily injured, immediately guessed his identity. In the entire Massacre Tower, only Yi Qinfeng could merge with 3 great spiritual items at the same time and be fine. You got it right. Yi Qinfeng sneered. Dense sword light shot out from the titanic, full, heavenly sword like a surging tide, continuously bombarding Ice Fan King and forcing him to retreat. Yi Qinfeng, you really want to fight to the death with me? Ice Fan King, who was under great pressure from Yi Qinfeng's tide-like attacks, said with a gloomy face, "It's not that I want to fight to the death, but that you will die." Massacre 4th style, Savage Blood. During the exchange, Yi Qinfeng discovered that Ice Fan King's strength was far inferior to Sun Lei, the king of the 4th floor of the Massacre Tower. He was only an ordinary Defiant Beast King expert, so he didn't waste any more time and went all out to kill him. A suffocating killing force gushed out of Yi Qinfeng's body, turning into a thick blood color that covered the sky. An incomparably sharp sword light swept across the sky, bringing with it a rain of blood as it slashed toward Ice Fan King. 100-beast roar fan. Sensing the terror of Yi Qinfeng's sword, Ice Fan King smelled the scent of death. He immediately used his killing move, pouring his soul power into the low-grade heaven item, the 100-beast jade fan. The 100 beasts on the fan seemed to come alive, leaping out of the fan and howling as they charged toward the savage blood sword light. Boom, boom, boom. A series of violent explosions rang out as the 2 powerful soul skills collided. The terrifying explosive force was like a boundless ocean, overflowing with power, causing the air to tremble violently, forming a destructive storm. Instant kill sword. As the destructive storm spread out, Yi Qinfeng's entire body merged with the titanic fault heavenly sword. 500,000 kilograms of strength and perfect sword intent erupted at the same time, tearing apart the storm with lightning speed and stabbing toward Ice Fan King, who couldn't dodge in time. Chi! Ice Fan King's defenses were broken, and more than half of his body was cut off by Yi Qinfeng's sword. Large amounts of blood and organs splattered on the ground, creating a ghastly sight. Soul-devouring art, devour! Yi Qinfeng quickly appeared behind the heavily injured Ice Fan King and pressed his palm against his head. Amidst his pained howls, Yi Qinfeng circulated the soul-devouring art and devoured his spiritual beast. It's over. Yi Qinfeng exerted a slight force with his wrist and snapped Ice Fan King's neck, ending his life. He took away his belongings and calmly left under the reverent gazes of the crowd. Mobile reading website. Book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this book. You'll be able to see it the next time you open your bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 310. Complete Marrow Refining Stage. I hope I can successfully refine the marrow cleansing pill. After killing the Ice Fan King, Yi Qinfeng immediately returned to the high-grade cultivation room he had rented. He deepened the time the charming woman spent in slumber and took out the 5 ingredients needed to refine the marrow cleansing pill. The Black Tortoise King's demonic core is the hardest to extract impurities. Let's start with that. Yi Qinfeng swallowed a large mouthful of heavenly fate water. He took out the demonic core he had obtained from the Black Tortoise King and threw it into the cauldron. He released the green spirit fire and began refining, extracting the impurities from the demonic core. The Black Tortoise King was a level 4 heavenly beast. Its demonic core contained extremely powerful demonic energy. When the outer shell of the demonic core melted, a violent demonic energy was released. It ran amok in the cauldron, causing it to shake violently. Green spirit fire, suppress. The cauldron shook more and more violently. Yi Qinfeng immediately increased the power of the green spirit fire, forcibly suppressing the violent demonic energy and quickly refining the impurities from the demonic core. With the experience of refining the 3 orifices heavenly pellet, Yi Qinfeng's alchemy skills were becoming more and more exquisite. In about 8 hours, he had extracted the impurities from the Black Tortoise King's demonic core and began refining the demon-vanquishing fruit. Shadow! Something big happened again. Shue Kuluo rubbed his swollen temples. He once again came to the secret room where Shadow was cultivating. He had disturbed his cultivation. Shue Kuluo felt that he had been looking for Shadow more frequently than he had in the past 10 years. All of this was because of Yi Qinfeng's arrival. What happened again? Shadow, who was sitting in the darkness, opened his deep eyes. He put on a black robe that covered his entire body and walked out of the darkness. He asked in a low voice. There was an accident at the auction held on the 5th level of the Tower of Massacre. A mysterious expert stole an ancient egg that even the king had not fully studied and escaped. Shue Klo took a deep breath and told Shadow everything that had happened on the 5th level of the Tower of Massacre. When did such an expert with unparalleled defense appear in my Tower of Slaughter? When he heard that the Tower of Slaughter had sent out dozens of peerless kings, yet they were unable to stop the sword puppet and allowed him to escape into the chaotic ocean. A look of astonishment appeared on the Shadow's calm face. That person's identity token is fake. We haven't found out who he is yet. Shue Kuluo's face darkened. Now I'm wondering if that person is an elite from Xingluo Sky City. Are you suspecting that this matter is related to Yi Qinfeng? The Shadow asked. Yes. The day before the auction, Yi Qinfeng had just entered the 5th level of the Tower of Massacre. On the day of the auction, Yi Qinfeng was also present. Although there is no direct evidence that this matter is related to Yi Qinfeng, he is indeed a suspect. Shue Kuluo nodded and said, Your suspicions are not without reason. If that person is really an expert from Star All Heaven City, then we must take precautions in advance. To be able to enter and exit the Tower of Slaughter as he pleases under our noses and escape the encirclement of dozens of beast kings. This person's strength is too terrifying. Wait for me here. I will report this to the king and see what he has to say, Shadow said after a moment of thought. Shadow, has the king broken through to the emperor level and come out of seclusion? Shwekluo raised his eyebrows and asked with great joy. The king is still trying to break through to the emperor level. He is very close to taking that final step. All right, you can wait here for my news. After saying that, Shadow's body flashed slightly and melted into the darkness again, disappearing. After about an incense stick's worth of time, the black-robed Shadow returned and appeared in front of the great elder, who was waiting patiently. Shadow, what did the king say? Shwekluo asked anxiously. Yi Qinfeng was like a thorn in his heart, making him very uncomfortable. He wanted to pull it out by force, but he did not dare to. The king is at the most critical moment of breaking through to the emperor level and cannot come out of seclusion. He told us not to touch Yi Qinfeng for now. However, he has already sent a warning to Xingluo Sky City. Once the king breaks through to the emperor level, he will negotiate with them and make them compensate for our losses, Shadow said. All right, then let the Yi Qinfeng jump around for a few more days. Although Shwekluo was the great elder of Massacre City, he did not dare to disobey the king of Massacre's orders. The danger was getting closer and closer, but Yi Qinfeng was completely unaware. At this moment, he was completely immersed in refining the marrow cleansing pill. Phew, I've finally extracted all the impurities from the ingredients. Yi Qinfeng let out a long sigh. He spent almost 2 days extracting the impurities from the Xuanwu Turtle King's monster core, monster execution fruit, thousand-year blood peach, and sanguine soul grass. He merged them with the sea heart source and began refining the marrow cleansing pill. The refining process was surprisingly smooth. Under the green spiritual fire, furlongan-sized, blood-red pills appeared in the cauldron. They were covered in markings. The success of the marrow cleansing pill was imminent. Yi Qinfeng did not let his guard down. He swallowed all the heavenly fate water in his mouth and instantly recovered his soul power. He focused on refining the pill. Buzz, 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 buzz. After another 2 hours, ear-piercing vibrations rang out in the cauldron. For beams of blood-red light surged out of the cauldron, shaking off the cauldron lid and hitting the seal in the training room. Large amounts of blood-red clouds spread out from the ceiling. A phenomenon. The marrow cleansing pill is finally done. For a top-grade Heaven Step Soul pill, like the marrow cleansing pill, when it was successfully refined, a phenomenon would appear. A top-grade Heaven Step Soul pill that did not appear could only be considered a semi-finished product. The blood cloud wantonly wreaked havoc in the practice room, for the time it took to burn a stick of incense. Then it began to roll and recede. It rushed back into the real fire furnace and entered the 4 marrow cleansing pills, further enhancing the quality of the pills. Marrow cleansing pill refine. After refining the marrow cleansing pill, Yi Qinfeng didn't hesitate to throw a marrow cleansing pill into his mouth. He revolved the 6-meridian god shield to refine it, tempering his marrow. This marrow cleansing pill is truly worthy of being called a tempering marrow divine pill. During the process of refining the marrow cleansing elixir, Yi Qinfeng felt waves of pure energy entering his bone marrow, transforming his bone marrow and changing the blood in his body. A massive amount of black blood flowed out from his pores, dyeing him red. Although the tempering marrow process was still painful, Yi Qinfeng relied on his strong willpower to persist. 30%, 40%, 50%, 60%, Yi Qinfeng spent more than a day to refine a marrow cleansing pill. Finally, he reached 60% of the marrow refining realm. His physical strength alone had reached 1,200,000 gene of strength. After resting for a moment, Yi Qinfeng didn't hesitate to take out a second marrow cleansing pill and throw it into his mouth. He continued to refine the marrow cleansing pill, tempering his marrow and marrow. Although the effect of the second marrow-cleansing elixir was not as good as the first one, Yi Qinfeng still managed to reach 90% of the marrow-refining realm with the help of this marrow-cleansing elixir. He was only one step away from the Great Circle. The efficacy of the marrow-cleansing pill continued to decline, and a massive amount of pill toxins appeared in his body. Yi Qinfeng didn't want to waste this hard-earned marrow-cleansing pill. Instead, he took out the Black Turtle King's heart. When he had killed the Black Turtle King and dug out its heart, Yi Qinfeng had done so to refine his marrow. Refine? Yi Qinfeng opened his mouth and spat out a mass of green spirit fire. It wrapped around the Black Turtle King's heart, refining it into a mass of bright red blood. Then he swallowed it into his stomach. The Black Turtle King was a level 4 heavenly beast. Its heart contained a powerful blood vitality and energy. As it fused with Yi Qinfeng's marrow, it rapidly transformed his marrow, helping him complete the final transformation of his blood. All of his marrow turned a dark gold color. After about half an hour, a powerful physical strength erupted within Yi Qinfeng's body. After refining the Black Turtle King's heart, Yi Qinfeng had finally taken the final step and reached perfection of the marrow refining boundary. Mobile reading website. Book address. In order to make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click the save button at the bottom to record this book. Next time you open the bookshelf, you will see it. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 311. 9 Dragons Jade Annulus 1. 5 million Gene of Force. Feeling the increase in physical strength from the perfected marrow cleansing realm, Yi Qinfeng revealed a satisfied smile. He felt that with his current physical strength, he could crush a rank 1 Defiant Beast King expert without the help of the 2-headed Blood Dragon King. He could even fight a rank 2 Defiant Beast King. At the perfected marrow refinement realm, Yi Qinfeng's body was covered in dirty blood. He hurriedly took a shower and changed into a clean set of clothes. He took out the items left behind by Ice Fan King and the Gray-Robed Elder. Low-grade, Heaven-grade 100 Beast Jade Fan and Supreme-grade, Earth-grade, Heart-protecting Mirror. Ice Fan King and the Gray-Robed Elder didn't have many slaughter points, but they had obtained extraordinary treasures in the auction. Ice Fan King's weapon, the 100 Beast Jade Fan, was especially precious. Apart from the 100 Beast Jade Fan and the Heart-protecting Mirror, Yi Qinfeng also obtained 2 Supreme-grade refining crystals, Stellar Stones, 100 Frost Mystic Iron, 2 precious spiritual items, their Soul Arts Soul Skill Scrolls, and a large number of Supreme-grade, Earth-grade, and High-grade, Earth-grade treasures. Although the Soul Arts and Soul Skills they cultivated weren't low-grade, they weren't suitable for Yi Qinfeng. After storing their items into his universe ring, Yi Qinfeng took out the Heavenstone Jade Milk he had obtained from the auction and the 10,000-year-old Spirit Milk he had obtained from killing Sunlay. He controlled the Chaos Divine would to devour them. At dawn, the Chaos Divine would successfully absorb the Heavenstone Jade Milk and 10,000-year-old Spirit Milk. It produced 2 strands of chaos power, increasing Yi Qinfeng's life-saving trump card. More importantly, the Chaos Divine would have absorbed the Heavenstone Jade Milk and grown a second 5-colored leaf. It made Yi Qinfeng's foundation even more solid and his body even stronger. It's time to go to the 9 Dragons Jade Annulus. Time was of the essence, so Yi Qinfeng didn't waste any time. He left the advanced cultivation room and headed for a mysterious mountain in the northwest of the 5th floor. According to the information transmitted by the identity token, the teleportation array that led to the 9 Dragons Jade Annulus was deep in the mountain. Yi Qinfeng immediately felt a gust of fresh air blowing against his face as he walked to the foot of the lush, tree-lined mountain. Within the lush canopies of the towering trees, there were vaguely inscriptions flowing. A powerful spatial pressure came from the peak of the mountain, enveloping the entire mountain range. It made it impossible for people to fly. They could only ascend the mountain one step at a time. At this moment, there were 3 martial artists who were withstanding the overwhelming spatial pressure as they stepped on the winding stone steps that were over a meter long and covered with dark flower patterns, walking step by step towards the mountain. Motherf asterisk her. Why is the spatial pressure in this mountain so great? I'm so tired. A thin man with a ponytail and a slightly pale face cursed. What do you know? I've heard that the spatial pressure within the 9 Dragon Jade Wall is even greater. If you can't even endure this little bit of spatial pressure, how can you even enter the 9 Dragon Jade Wall to take the test? A white-haired old man lectured. Old White, with your strength as a level 1 Beast King, how far can you go in the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus? A slightly plump, ordinary-looking woman in black training clothes asked. She had beads of sweat on the tip of her nose. Yes, I should be able to reach the 3rd level and attempt the 4th, the white-haired old man said after pondering for a moment. No way, with your strength, you can't reach the 5th level and above. A man and woman clearly didn't believe him. The terror of the 9 Dragon Jade Wall is not something you can imagine. For more than 500 years, no one has reached the 9th level of the 9 Dragon Jade Wall. All right, let's speed up. When you enter the 9 Dragon Jade Wall, you will know how terrifying it is. After saying that, the 3 of them slightly quickened their pace and walked towards the mountain while enduring the spatial pressure that was getting stronger and stronger. The sound of something breaking through the air. Why is there a sound of something breaking through the air behind us? As the 3 of them climbed step by step, an ear-piercing sound of something breaking through the air suddenly entered their ears. When they turned around, they saw a shocking scene that scared them so much that their jaws almost dislocated. Circulating the 6th Meridian Divine Shield, Yi Qinfeng unleashed his powerful physical strength and ignored the spatial pressure. Using form-shifting shadow, he rushed over at an astonishing speed. Because his speed was too fast, he left behind afterimages on the winding stone steps and flashed past the eyes of the white-haired old man and his companions. Oh, I didn't see wrongly, right? Did someone just flash past me? The woman in black rubbed her eyes and said in a daze, Yes, I think so. The thin man nodded. That's too scary. When that person flashed past me, I actually felt like I was suffocating. The 5th level of the Slaughter Tower is indeed full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. The white-haired old man took a deep breath and urged, Let's hurry to the 9 Dragon Jade Wall. I have a feeling that there will be a good show to watch today. Using form-shifting shadow, Yi Qinfeng rushed through the mountain path that was filled with spatial pressure for an incense stick's worth of time. Then he arrived at the teleportation array in the mountain. An old man in a green robe with a goatee and half-closed eyes was standing guard beside the teleportation array. Looking at Yi Qinfeng, who ignored the spatial pressure and rushed over at an extremely fast speed, the green-robed old man's eyes suddenly lit up. Rays of radiance blossomed and locked onto Yi Qinfeng. Expert. Coming into contact with the green-robed old man's starry eyes, Yi Qinfeng immediately felt a sense of danger. He didn't doubt that if the green-robed old man wanted to deal with him, he wouldn't be able to resist even if he transformed into his beast soul form. Identity token! The green-robed old man repeatedly sized up Yi Qinfeng and said, without a trace of emotion, Yes, you are Yi Qinfeng. When the green-robed old man took Yi Qinfeng's identity token, a trace of killing intent flashed in his eyes. Yes, it's me. Seeing the killing intent in the green-robed old man's eyes, Yi Qinfeng secretly raised his guard, guarding against any sudden sneak attack. Go in. Remember, you only have one chance to challenge the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus on the 5th level. The green-robed old man threw the identity token to Yi Qinfeng and coldly said before closing his eyes again, Hugh! Seeing that the green-robed old man didn't attack, Yi Qinfeng secretly let out a sigh of relief. He walked into the teleportation array and was teleported to an independent space. Dragon might. After being teleported to an independent space, Yi Qinfeng immediately felt that the space was filled with a terrifying dragon might that penetrated deep into his heart and made him feel fearful. And in the midst of the misty clouds, there was a wall that extended for an unknown number of miles. Most of the wall went deep into the clouds, and the top couldn't be seen. It was like a piece of white jade. 9 dragon-like patterns of light slowly flowed through the jade wall. They seemed to coil and rise, as if they were riding the clouds, as if they were chasing each other, as if 9 dragons were circling around each other. And to the side of the 9 dragon jade annulus, there was a stone stele covered in names. Among them, the 5 golden names at the top of the stone stele were the most striking. And these 5 people were the 5 geniuses in the history of the 9 dragon jade annulus that had passed all the tests of the 9 dragon jade annulus and obtained a title. Kong Sungqin, titled Star King. Bai Feng, titled Mad Demon. Zhang Biyue, titled Fairy Bihua. Forest Butcher, titled Yellow Springs. Blood River, titled King of Slaughter. This is the 9 dragon jade annulus. Looking at the 9 dragon jade annulus and the names on the ranking stone, Yi Qinfeng was deeply awed. He felt that the 9 dragon jade annulus was like a world of its own, and that he was insignificant. Yi Qinfeng, I didn't think I'd run into you here. Just as Yi Qinfeng was staring at the 9 dragon jade annulus, a low voice entered his ears. A tall and straight man, wearing a black robe with tiger stripes and a short spear on his back, walked over with heavy steps. He was a level 2 defiant beast king. He looked at Yi Qinfeng with an unfriendly expression. You are. Yi Qinfeng frowned at the familiar face of the black-robed man and asked in a low voice, My name is Xiahou Chunyu. The Xiahou Xue you killed is my cousin, Xiahou Chunyu said with a dark expression. What, you want to avenge your brother? Upon learning of the black-robed man's identity, Yi Qinfeng sneered. Although Xiahou Chunyu was very strong, Yi Qinfeng, who had reached great success in the marrow refining realm, was not afraid at all. No, I just want to compete with you, a genius from Xingluo Heaven City, in passing through the 9 dragon jade annulus. Let's see who can pass higher. However, the loser will have to kowtow 3 times to the loser. Are you willing to accept this bet? Xiahou Chunyu shook his head and said deliberately, As you wish, I'll accept your bet. Yi Qinfeng smiled faintly and happily agreed. However, what if someone refuses to kowtow after losing? Hearing Yi Qinfeng and Xiahou Chunyu's bet, the experts below the 9 dragon jade annulus immediately looked over and gathered on the 2 of them. How about I be your witness? At this moment, a gray-robed old man who had fused his presence with the 9 dragons jade annulus opened his turbid eyes and said in a deep voice, That's right. Then I'll have to trouble you. Elder Tian, Xiahou Chunyu said politely, raising his eyebrows and revealing a hint of joy. Yi Qinfeng, you, a genius from Xingluo Heaven City. Just wait for me to kowtow to you. Xiahou Chunyu, who was a level 2 reverse beast king, said confidently. He adjusted his breathing and leaped like a steel spear, breaking through layers of clouds and entering the 9 dragon jade annulus. It's not certain who will lose. Yi Qinfeng sneered. A muffled thunder sounded under his feet as he bounced off the ground and followed Xiahou Chunyu into the 9 dragon jade annulus. Mobile reading site. Book address. To make it easier for you to read it next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record your reading history. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 312. Mysterious sword move. The interior of the 9 dragon jade annulus is actually in the shape of a mountain. After entering the 9 dragon jade annulus, the scenery before Yi Qinfeng's eyes changed immediately. A majestic 9-layer mountain appeared in front of him. A straight mountain path ran through the entire mountain and extended to Yi Qinfeng's feet. A majestic aura gushed out like a waterfall, attacking Yi Qinfeng's body and soul. Moreover, within the boundless spatial pressure, there was also a terrifying dragon might that caused one's courage to be torn apart, and it caused one's mind to waver. How is this 9-dragon jade annulus formed? Massacre City is really full of mysteries. Yi Qinfeng stood silently at the foot of the mountain and felt the surging pressure and dragon aura. He increasingly felt that Massacre City was hiding a shocking secret. Bone age is 21 years old. The difficulty of the assessment is low. Suddenly, an ancient, deep, and heavenly voice resounded from the 9-dragon jade annulus and entered Yi Qinfeng's ears. I didn't expect to have such an advantage at such a young age. This 9-dragon jade annulus is very fair. The corners of Yi Qinfeng's mouth curled up slightly. He adjusted his inner qi and slightly increased his physical strength. Facing the pressure of the space that was pouring down on him, he stepped onto the limestone stairs that had experienced the vicissitudes of time and walked step by step towards the peak of the 9th mountain. As for the bet between him and Xiahou Chunyu, he didn't take it to heart. Although Xiahou Chunyu was very powerful and was much more talented than ordinary geniuses, Yi Qinfeng had never treated him as an opponent. He walked steadily on the limestone stairs and slowly walked up. These patterns, could they be Tao patterns? When Yi Qinfeng was climbing the stone stairs, the God-Eater brain sensed that the patterns on the stone stairs under his feet and the patterns in the air were reflecting each other, forming a mysterious power. Sensing carefully, the God-Eater brain, which was operating at high speed, sensed the power of the Tao patterns. Could this 9-dragon jade annulus be a Tao artifact? Tao artifacts were treasures that were superior to heaven artifacts. There were only a handful of Tao artifacts in the entire Duhan continent. Each Tao artifact contained destructive power. Anyone who could make the Tao artifact recognize him as its master would become one of the top existences in the Duhan continent. Even emperor-level powerhouses would have to avoid him. Just as Yi Qinfeng was enduring the spatial pressure and dragon's prowess to climb the stone steps while controlling the God-Eater brain to comprehend the power of the suspected Tao pattern in the spatial zone, a deafening dragon roar entered his ears. He raised his head and saw a fire dragon that was dozens of meters long and covered in raging flames. It had coral-like dragon horns and was roaring at him. Tao pattern, this fire dragon, is actually condensed from a Tao pattern. Yi Qinfeng, who had the God-Eater brain, immediately saw through the fire dragon. He did not hesitate to take out his titanic fault celestial sword and walked up the stone steps towards the fire dragon. Yi Qinfeng climbed more than 30 steps. When he got close to the fire dragon that was hovering in the air suddenly attacked him. An exploding fireball flew out like a meteor, bombarding Yi Qinfeng, who was enduring the spatial pressure. Instant kill sword. There was a thunderous sound under Yi Qinfeng's feet. The sword prowess that burst out from his body tore apart the spatial pressure and dragon's prowess that were pouring down. It turned into an extremely sharp sword light and exploded the fireball, thrusting towards the massive body of the fire dragon. It was attacked by Yi Qinfeng's sword that was like a hot knife through butter. The fire dragon's massive body twisted in the air and turned into a winding firelight that crashed towards Zhang Yi. The moment the fire dragon clashed with the titanic fault celestial sword, the power of the Tao pattern burst out from the fire dragon's body. It went through the titanic fault celestial sword and attacked Yi Qinfeng's arm. 1 million pounds of strength. Perfect sword prowess, break! Yi Qinfeng roared. The power in his body erupted like a volcano and surged into his arm. The rolling power blended with the perfect sword prowess and directly crushed the power of the great Tao. The sword split the ferocious head of the fire dragon and crushed its body. Buzz! Just as the fire dragon was about to be shattered by Yi Qinfeng's powerful sword, the Tao pattern suddenly broke open the fire dragon's massive body. It turned into an extremely powerful sword move that contained the power of the great Tao and blasted towards Yi Qinfeng. Star slaying. Suddenly attacked by the mysterious sword move, Yi Qinfeng didn't panic. He reacted quickly and shot out a meteor-like sword light to resist the mysterious sword move. Break. The 81 array patterns on the titanic fault celestial sword were activated at the same time. The extremely sharp sword light broke the mysterious sword move and tore a gap in the spatial pressure that was pouring down. Tao skill. The sword move that gushed out from the fire dragon's body was a Tao skill. Although the sword move was extremely fast, the God-Eater brain still captured the mystery within. It quickly deduced in Yi Qinfeng's mind. Who? Yi Qinfeng simply adjusted his internal breath and continued to climb the stone steps. When he climbed the 100th step, he successfully passed through the 9 dragons, jade walls, first layer space, and entered the second layer space. Spatial pressure. The power of the dragon's power has increased. After entering the second layer space, Yi Qinfeng felt that the spatial pressure and dragon's power that filled the space had nearly doubled. However, Yi Qinfeng, who had cultivated the marrow refining realm to the perfection realm and possessed the 2-headed blood dragon king, wasn't affected at all. He slightly quickened his pace and quickly climbed the stone steps. When he climbed half the distance, 2 deafening dragon roars entered his ears. 2 fire dragons that were hundreds of meters long appeared. Their bodies were wantonly covered in flames, and their eyes emitted a terrifying light. They attacked him from both sides. 2 dragon flames that were filled with tyrannical power gushed out like a long river. They burned the air and blasted towards Yi Qinfeng. Swish! A void flashed under Yi Qinfeng's feet and instantly transformed into 9 speed afterimages. Under the heavy spatial pressure, he quickly moved and dodged the attacks of the 2 fire dragons. If there were outsiders present, they would definitely be stunned by the scene before them. Ordinary people would find it difficult to move in the second layer space of the 9 dragons' jade wall. However, Yi Qinfeng could calmly transform into 9 speed afterimages and dodge as fast as lightning. Ancient cold mystic ice, Iciel. The moment he dodged the dragon flames, the power of the ancient cold mystic ice gushed out of his body and froze the 2 fire dragons, forcibly slowing down their attack speed. 8 Devil's Azura Art Double Slaughter Halo. Residual blood. 2 killing halos appeared behind Yi Qinfeng, increasing his attack power by 2-fold. A sword ray that was as erratic as the wind, filled with perfect sword force and 500,000 kilograms of strength, flew out, bringing with it a rain of blood as it slashed towards the 2 fire dragons. Chi! The 2 fire dragons' huge bodies were penetrated by the residual blood sword light. The powerful sword force and power directly chopped their bodies into pieces. Swish! Swish! 2 great Tao patterns gushed out from the broken bodies of the fire dragons and transformed into 2 extremely powerful sword moves. They left 2 deep sword scars in the air and attacked Yi Qinfeng with astonishing speed. 1,500,000 gene of strength. Block. Yi Qinfeng's pupils shrunk as his powerful physical strength erupted. He held the gigantic fault heavenly sword and forcibly blocked the 2 sword moves. When he blocked the 2 sword moves that were filled with the power of the Grand Tao, the God-Eater brain quickly deduced and engraved the mysteries of the 2 sword moves and Tao patterns. After about 15 minutes, Yi Qinfeng, whose physical strength was increasing steadily, successfully shattered the 2 sword moves. He adjusted his breathing and continued to climb the stone steps while enduring the spatial pressure. He finally arrived at the 3rd layer space of the 9 dragons' jade wall. Mobile reading website, book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 313. Unbearable Reality. As expected, those mysterious sword moves are the first 2 moves of a Dao skill. But in terms of power, this Dao skill is probably inferior to the 7 Swords of Judgment. It should be a low-grade Dao skill. Through the God-Eater brain, Yi Qin-feng had figured out a small portion of the sword moves. But because the time was too short, even the God-Eater brain couldn't completely figure it out. However, Yi Qin-feng had only climbed 2 levels. He believed that if he could climb to the 9th level, he would definitely be able to figure out what he suspected to be a low-grade Dao skill. The spatial pressure grew stronger and stronger, but Yi Qin-feng, whose body was filled with 1.5 million gene of strength, still felt relaxed. He continued to move quickly and soon arrived at the 3rd space of the 9 dragons' jade annulus. He fought fiercely with the 3 fire dragons that broke through the space. At the same time, Xiahou Chunyu also appeared in the 3rd level of the 9 dragon jade annulus. But because he was 9 years older than Yi Qin-feng, the attacks he endured were far greater than Yi Qin-feng's. Ha! Xiahou Chunyu roared. 100-meter-long Titan python, covered in gorgeous stripes, appeared behind him. It constantly amplified his attacks and engaged in a fierce battle with the 3 fire dragons. With Xiahou Chunyu's strength, the 3 fire dragons posed a limited threat to him. But he still didn't dare to let his guard down. He attacked with all his strength. A storm of spear lights enveloped the 3 aggressive fire dragons, riddling their huge bodies with holes. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Xiahou Chunyu's soul skill and the interweaving spear lights pierced through his body. The 3 fire dragons immediately turned into 3 sharp sword moves filled with the power of the great Tao. They tore through the air and pierced towards him. Dancing wind shadow. Xiahou Chunyu was already prepared. He quickly waved the short spear in his hand, interweaving spear shadows that filled the sky. They turned into a huge defensive spinning top that blocked the 3 sword moves. Rumble! A series of thunderous sounds rang out as the sword moves and spear lights intertwined, forming waves of wind that surged in all directions like a tide. Dense water ripples appeared in the air as they fluctuated. After about half an incense stick's time, the 3 sword moves finally dissipated. Xiahou Chunyu, on the other hand, did not possess a heaven-defying treasure like the God-Eater brain. Thus, he was unable to detect the 3 sword moves at all. Yi Qin-feng, although I don't dare to kill you, I dare to ruthlessly humiliate you. I will let you know that in this world where the strong are respected, background is only a part of it. Everything depends on strength. I will make you kneel before me like a dog and become the disgrace of Xingluo Sky City. Xiahou Chunyu looked up at the towering mountain peak with a ferocious expression. Xiahou Chunyu had once challenged the 9 dragon jade annulus on the 5th floor of the Slaughter Tower. Back then, he had only reached the 4th floor. Now that he had broken through to the 2nd level of Reverse Beast King, he was confident that if he performed well, he would have a chance to reach the 6th level of the 9 dragon jade annulus. He simply didn't believe that Yi Qin-feng, who was a level 4 mystic beast ancestor, would be able to achieve better results than him. Who? Xiahou Chunyu took a deep breath and threw a soul recovery pill into his mouth. Facing the increasing spatial pressure, he continued to climb the stone steps and arrived at the 4th level of the 9 dragon jade annulus. At the same time, Yi Qin-feng relied on his powerful physical strength and endless attack methods. Without relying on the power of his spiritual beast, the 2-headed Blood Dragon King, he defeated the 3 fire dragons and resisted the 3 sword moves. He arrived at the 4th level of the 9 dragon jade annulus almost at the same time as Xiahou Chunyu. The pressure is increasing. Enduring the increasing spatial pressure and the baptism of the dragon's power, Yi Qin-feng finally felt the pressure. However, when the King Ancient Rune appeared on his forehead, the dragon's power from the 9 dragon jade annulus was easily restrained by the Ancient Rune. The impact on Yi Qin-feng was reduced to the minimum. Without the impact of the dragon's power, the pressure on Yi Qinfeng was greatly reduced. His entire body suddenly turned into an afterimage, piercing through the heavy spatial pressure and rushing at an extremely fast speed. Soon, 4 fire dragons appeared with bared fangs and brandished claws, their bodies burning with raging flames. They opened their bloody mouths and attacked Yi Qinfeng. Ancient cold mysterious ice, purple extreme spiritual thunder, green spiritual fire, fuse, wrath of divine punishment. When the 4 fire dragons approached, the 3 spiritual items rushed out of Yi Qinfeng's body and quickly fused, forming a destructive force that distorted the space and bombarded the 4 fire dragons. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion sounded. The terrifying energy bombarded the huge bodies of the 4 fire dragons and exploded. The destructive energy spread rapidly, directly engulfing the 4 fire dragons and destroying their bodies crazily. Buzz, 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 buzz. In 3 breaths, the bodies of the 4 fire dragons were annihilated. For sword moves filled with the power of the great Tao forcibly penetrated the destructive storm and slashed at Yi Qinfeng at an astonishing speed. 5 million gene of force resist. In order to create an opportunity for the God-Eater brain to understand the sword moves, Yi Qinfeng didn't use his soul skills to counterattack. Instead, he used his powerful physical strength to resist the 4 sword moves. For a moment, Yi Qinfeng's body was surrounded by sword shadows. Streaks of hazy sword light flashed rapidly, trying to break through Yi Qinfeng's defense. However, under the amplification of the massacre halo, Yi Qinfeng's attacks became more and more ferocious. The God-Eater brain's understanding of the sword moves became deeper and deeper. In the end, the 4 sword strikes that were imbued with the power of the Grand Tao finally ran out of energy after an incense stick's worth of time. They were defeated by the titanic fault heavenly sword that was brimming with the power of slaughter and 1,500,000 gene of force. Huff! The pressure is indeed getting stronger. Yi Qinfeng drank a small mouthful of the water of heavenly secrets and recovered his expended soul power. He continued to withstand the spatial pressure that surged towards him and climbed to the 5th level of the 9-dragon jade wall. It's been more than 2 hours. The 2 people who made the bet are still challenging the 9-dragon jade wall. I really want to know how many levels they have reached and who'll have the last laugh. After hearing the bet between Yi Qinfeng and Xiahou Chunyu, many busybodies stayed outside the 9-dragon jade wall to wait for the result of the bet. They wanted to watch the show. Unless they can break into the top 3,000 of the 9-dragon jade wall, then their names may appear on the ranking stone. And if they want to enter the top 3,000 of the 9-dragon jade wall, they must at least break into the 6th space of the 9-dragon jade wall and kill 2 or 3 fire dragons. This is too difficult. A black-clothed expert from the 7th floor of the Slaughter Tower who understood the 9-dragon jade wall said in a low voice, "And there's an energy halo. Someone is coming out." Just as he said that, an energy halo appeared on the 9-dragon jade wall. A black figure fell out of the 9-dragon jade wall and fell to the ground at an extremely fast speed, like a kite with a broken string. Just as his body was about to crash to the ground, a pair of soul wings appeared behind him and stabilized his body. It's Xiahou Chunyu. He has finally finished the test. I wonder how many levels he reached. Seeing Xiahou Chunyu fall out of the 9-dragon jade wall, everyone was filled with curiosity about his results. Elder Tian, what about Yi Qinfeng? Did he leave? Xiahou Chunyu took a deep breath and suppressed his injuries. He looked around and didn't see Yi Qinfeng's figure. He quickly asked Elder Tian, who was guarding the 9-dragon jade wall, that Yi Qinfeng is still undergoing the test in the 9-dragon jade wall. Elder Tian opened his turbid eyes and slowly said as he looked at the pale Xiahou Chunyu, "What? This is impossible." Elder Tian's words were like a bolt of lightning that struck deep into his soul. It caused his mind to go blank as he cried out in alarm, Xiahou Chunyu, who had reached the 5th level of the 9-dragon jade wall and had his defenses destroyed by the final sword move, blasted out of the 9-dragon jade wall, could not accept this fact. Mobile reading site, book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record your reading record. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 314. A shocking change in the rankings. Could it be that I will really lose to him? No, he is only a level 4 mystic beast ancestor. His results will definitely not surpass mine. With his strength, he should be stuck on the 2nd or 3rd floor. That's why he spent more time in the 9-dragon jade annulus than me. Xiahou Chunyu took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down as he comforted himself. Making him kneel in front of everyone and kowtow to Yi Qinfeng 3 times was even more unbearable than killing him. He was even more unable to accept that his meticulous scheme had become an opportunity for Yi Qinfeng to humiliate him. Just as Xiahou Chunyu was comforting himself and slowly calming down, the ranking stone suddenly emitted a dazzling white light. A name that Xiahou Chunyu could not believe appeared at the end of the ranking stone. How is this possible? How can Yi Qinfeng's name appear at the end of the ranking stone? A complicated expression of shock, stupefaction, and confusion appeared on Xiahou Chunyu's face. In the end, it completely filled his face. This is not real. This is definitely not real. It's an illusion. It's an illusion. Xiahou Chunyu was not the only one who was stunned by the scene before him. The martial artists around the 9-dragon jade annulus were also stunned by the scene before them. Many of them rubbed their eyes hard, thinking that they were seeing things. And the 9-dragon jade annulus, which was noisy just a moment ago, was silent because of Yi Qinfeng's name appearing on the ranking stone. They could not imagine that a level 4 mystic beast ancestor kid from the 5th floor of the Slaughter Pagoda could charge into the top 3,000 in history on his first attempt at the 9-dragon jade annulus. Elder Tian, this Yi Qinfeng must have cheated. With his strength, it is impossible for him to charge into the 6th layer of the 9-dragon jade annulus. Xiahou Chunyu, who had regained his senses, roared in exasperation. Even now, he was still unable to accept this fact. Cheated? Elder Tian's turbid eyes shone with a cold light as he said coldly, "How do you think he cheated in the 9-dragon jade annulus that has been passed down since ancient times?" Because of Yi Qinfeng's identity, Elder Tian was filled with hostility towards Yi Qinfeng. However, he had to admit that Yi Qinfeng was indeed too outstanding. Be it in terms of talent or bearing, Yi Qinfeng was far inferior to Xiahou Chunyu. As he spoke, the ranking stone once again emitted an endless amount of white light. Yi Qinfeng's name disappeared from the end of the ranking stone and appeared at the 2,321st position. Seeing the second change in Yi Qinfeng's ranking, Xiahou Chunyu felt as if he had been struck by lightning. His entire body trembled, and his eyes almost popped out of their sockets. He stared at the ranking stone, and beads of sweat the size of beans appeared on his forehead. It seems that Yi Qinfeng has already passed the test of the 9-dragon jade annulus 6th layer space and entered the 7th layer space. Elder Tian looked at Yi Qinfeng's ranking, his voice a bit complex as he spoke. So fast! Yi Qinfeng went from the 6th layer space to the 7th layer space in less than 2 incense sticks of time. Just how did he do it? Heavens, when did such a monstrous genius appear in the Tower of Slaughter? Does he want to create history? You haven't heard of his name before? Some time ago, the Wu family placed a bounty of 300,000 slaughter points on him. Moreover, I heard that even the kings of the 3rd and 4th floor of the Tower of Slaughter lost their lives to him. And his status seems to be a top genius of Xingluo Sky City. Hearing Elder Tian's words, the 9-dragon jade annulus space exploded into an uproar. All of the martial artists from the 5th floor and above began to discuss this matter. Many of them even began to inquire about Yi Qinfeng's background. A slightly chubby black-clothed woman looked at Yi Qinfeng's name with a look of worship and asked, "Old Bai, when we were climbing the mountain, he should be the person we met, right?" "Yes, it must be him." The white-clothed old man nodded and said, "I didn't think that there would be a good show to watch today. I just don't know what this person's limit is. Phew, I finally reached the 7th layer of the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus. After an intense battle, Yi Qinfeng successfully resisted the 6 style Dao skills and entered the 7th layer of the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus. The earth-shattering space pressure was like a towering mountain that ruthlessly pressed down on his body, causing his muscles to tremble. If it weren't for Yi Qinfeng's 6 Meridian Divine shield reaching perfection and his physical strength reaching 1.5 million genes, such a terrifying space pressure would have been enough to crush him into a meat patty. He would have been deader than dead. In addition to the terrifying space pressure, the intimidating dragon's might was also extremely frightening. Fortunately, the King Ancient Rune was even more heaven-defying and was able to restrain the dragon's might that filled the space. This was also the truly frightening part of the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus. Under the space pressure and dragon's might, even a peerless king would only be able to unleash 30% of their strength, not to mention that they still had to face the fire dragon's test. Two-headed blood dragon king, fuse. With the pressure multiplied, Yi Qinfeng knew that he couldn't hold back any longer. Relying on his physical strength alone was no longer enough to contend against the fire dragon in the 7th layer of the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus. He immediately fused with the two-headed blood dragon king to increase his strength. Yi Qinfeng's bone age was young, so the difficulty of the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus test was relatively low. When he fused with the two-headed blood dragon king, his strength soared to the level of a peerless king, and the pressure on his body suddenly decreased. Whoosh! An ear-piercing sound rang out. Under the space pressure that was enough to crush the experts of the Mystic Beast sect, Yi Qinfeng's movement speed was still able to form a terrifying sound. If the people outside were to see such a shocking scene, their eyeballs would fall out from shock. Roar! While Yi Qinfeng was rushing up the limestone stairs, a dragon's roar with a strong penetrating force rang out. 7 fire dragons that were several hundred meters long appeared, their mouths wide open and their bodies burning with raging flames. They sealed the entire space. Wrath of divine punishment. When the 7 fire dragons appeared, ancient cold mysterious ice, green spirit fire and purple spirit lightning immediately gushed out of Yi Qinfeng's body and quickly gathered, forming a destructive wave that bombarded the 7 fire dragons like a violent storm. Rumble. When the wrath of divine punishment bombarded the 7 fire dragons' huge bodies, it immediately exploded. The thunderous sound was like the roar of a fire god, a thunder god, and a flood god, shaking the entire space. The energy that was like a volcanic eruption crazily destroyed the 7 fire dragons' huge bodies. Large patches of dragon scales were shattered, and clear cracks spread on their bodies. A large area of space was also distorted. Eternal night. Seeing that the 7 fire dragons were tearing apart the wrath of divine punishment, Yi Qinfeng skimmed across the sky. Double slaughter halos appeared behind him, and a dazzling brilliance instantly dimmed the space. A shocking sword light that was comparable to a low-grade Dao skill flew out and tore through the void. The sword light pierced through the 7 fire dragons' huge bodies. Buzz! The 7 fire dragons' huge bodies were shattered, and the Dao patterns in the fire dragons immediately turned into 7 Dao skill sword moves. They penetrated the void with terrifying killing intent and stabbed towards Yi Qinfeng. After the deduction of the first 6 layers of space, the God-Eater brain had already deduced the attack trajectory of the Dao skill sword moves and comprehended a small portion of the quintessence. Before the 7 sword moves could get close, Yi Qinfeng immediately dodged. The sword aura that gushed out from his body tore through the spatial pressure and shifted on the bluestone stairs. While he was dodging, the God-Eater brain was operating at high speed to deduce the sword moves and break through the 7 sword moves. After about 30 minutes, the 7 sword moves were almost exhausted. They were shattered by Yi Qinfeng's sword like a hot knife through butter and dissipated into the void. At this moment, Yi Qinfeng's ranking had jumped to around 1,100. Seeing Yi Qinfeng's name jumping rapidly on the ranking stone, Xiahou Chunyi's heart was only left with panic and fear. Her mind went blank, and her body leaned forward and sat on the ground. Mobile reading site, book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Save button below to record this reading record. You will see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 315. 9 Dragon Jade Wall, 9 Layer Space. I finally reached the 8th layer of the 9 Dragon Jade Wall. Yi Qinfeng drank a mouthful of Tianji water to recover his consumed soul power. He then tore open the 7th layer of space and entered the 8th layer of space where the pressure was even greater. Entering the 8th layer of the 9 Dragon Jade Wall as a Class 4 Mystic Beast ancestor had completely created the history of Slaughter City. All of this was due to the heaven-defying God-Eater brain, a physical strength that was even more terrifying than Class for Heavenly Beasts, and a spiritual beast that had undergone a second transformation, the Two-Headed Blood Dragon King. Two-Headed Blood Dragon King, condensed soul armor. As soon as he entered the 8th layer of the 9 Dragon Jade Wall, Yi Qinfeng's powerful physical body immediately exploded with blood. Feeling that the pressure of the 8th layer of space had exceeded the physical limit, Yi Qinfeng immediately controlled the Two-Headed Blood Dragon King to condense the soul armor, greatly increasing the physical defense. As for the Heavenly Thunder Battle armor in the Qinkuan Ring, Yi Qinfeng couldn't wear it. In order to test his true strength, the 9 Dragon Jade Wall prohibited defensive armors and exploding rare treasures. Even with the protection of the soul armor, the pressure on Yi Qinfeng was still very great. He took a deep breath and no longer had the calmness he had just now. With heavy steps, he endured the spatial pressure that swept over him like an avalanche as he slowly climbed up the bluestone stairs. It's too terrifying. The pressure of the 8th layer of space is actually 5 times that of the 7th layer. It's really hard to imagine how terrifying the pressure of the 9th layer of space is. At this time, Yi Qinfeng felt that he was carrying 2 mountains, and as the height increased, the pressure of the 2 mountains also increased rapidly. When he climbed to the middle of the 8th layer of space with difficulty, he felt the surrounding temperature suddenly increase. 8 aggressive fire dragons tore the space apart and appeared in the 8th layer of the 9 Dragon Jade Wall. The terrifying dragon power intertwined with each other made Yi Qinfeng's soul tremble. Let's fight. Although the 8 fire dragons brought a strong death threat to Yi Qinfeng didn't shrink back. Instead, the battle intent in his body became stronger and stronger. With a roar, his 6 meridians divine shield circulated at high speed, and his physical strength reached its peak. The ancient, cold, mysterious ice, green spiritual fire, and purple spiritual lightning once again surged out of his body and gathered into the wrath of divine retribution. However, under the influence of the terrifying spatial pressure, the power of the wrath of God's punishment was greatly reduced, and the damage to the 8 fire dragons was also reduced to the minimum. Seeing the 8 ferocious fire dragons tearing apart the wrath of God's punishment, Yi Qinfeng once again controlled the 3 phase to surge out of his body. They gathered into the wrath of God's punishment and bombarded the 8 fire dragons. Yi Qinfeng did not hesitate to use the wrath of God's punishment over and over again. The consumption of his body was very obvious. After being hit by the shock waves, the Blood Dragon soul armor also showed signs of cracking. Fortunately, he had the water of heavenly fate, which allowed him to quickly recover from the exhaustion in his body. When the 8 fire dragons were attacked by Yi Qinfeng's wrath of God's punishment 5 times in a row, their huge bodies were finally torn apart by the destructive power. 8 sword moves filled with the power of the great Tao were like 8 meteors falling from the sky, bombarding Yi Qinfeng. The God-Eater brain quickly deduced the attack trajectories of the 8 sword moves. Yi Qinfeng unleashed his strongest physical strength and shifted his body, creating afterimages as he quickly dodged. While he was dodging, the gigantic Fault Heavenly Sword was also dancing quickly, counterattacking the 8 sword moves and weakening the power of the great Tao in the 8 sword moves. The erratic figure and the peacock-like sword lights dazzled everyone. For a moment, the entire space was filled with shocking sword lights. Star Slayer, Demon Slayer, Remnant Blood, Eternal Night. The 2 killing halos reflected the white killing power. Yi Qinfeng repeatedly used the 4 slaughter styles, crisscrossing the incomparably sharp sword lights as he continuously countered the 8 sword moves. The entire space was riddled with holes, and it was a scene of devastation. The battle became more and more intense. The blood dragon soul armor was covered with deep sword marks. Large amounts of blood flowed out from the blood dragon soul armor and dyed Yi Qinfeng's body red. As his injuries worsened, Yi Qinfeng's attacks became more and more ferocious. Streaks of sword lights that split the void and tore the earth apart shattered the 8 sword moves. The ear-deafening sound of metal exploding resounded throughout the world. After about an hour, Yi Qinfeng, who was burning with fighting spirit, finally turned the tables. His ferocious attacks suppressed the 8 sword moves, which had consumed a lot of the power of the great Tao. 7 swords of judgment, extreme chill. The perfect sword force gushed out and forcefully deduced the power of the great Tao. A sword light that froze the void was wantonly slashed out like a waterfall with great momentum. The sword bombarded the 8 sword moves that had gathered together. Ka-ka-ka! A series of shattering sounds rang out. The 8 sword moves were unable to withstand the attack of the extreme chill sword light and shattered one after another. As for Yi Qinfeng's ranking on the ranking stone, it took a huge leap. From the 1000th rank, it directly jumped to the 118th rank. Almost all of these 118 experts had been ranked several hundred years ago. In the past century, no one had made it to the 9th floor of the Tower of Slaughter, let alone pass the ultimate test of the 9 Dragons' Jade Wall. 118. Oh my God, am I blind? Is this real? *CK, how did that guy do it? Is he really human? Elder Tian, do you know which floor Yi Qinfeng has made it to? Numerous dumbfounded gazes were directed at Elder Tian as they opened their mouths to ask one after another. Yi Qinfeng should have passed the test of the 8 floors. He should be climbing to the 9th floor of the 9 Dragons' Jade Wall. Elder Tian took a deep breath. He was also disappointed by Yi Qinfeng's shocking results. He was unable to calm down for a long time. He immediately told Xue Kuluo about Yi Qinfeng's results. Gasps rang out outside the 9 Dragons' Jade Wall when they heard Elder Tian's words. Everyone had been stunned by Yi Qinfeng's unbelievable results. I've lost. I've been utterly defeated. Xiahou Chunyu fell to the ground. His mind was blank. He had been completely convinced by Yi Qinfeng's shocking strength and talent. If he had known that Yi Qinfeng was so monstrous, he would not have dared to challenge Yi Qinfeng even if he was 100 times more courageous. However, there were no ifs in life. What awaited him was the darkest moment of his life. What? Yi Qinfeng has made it to the 9th floor of the 9 Dragons' Jade Wall on his first attempt? After learning about Yi Qinfeng's unbelievable results from Elder Tian, Xue Kuluo was given a fright. However, his face soon turned ferocious. Yi Qinfeng, this really is a case of you choosing not to walk the path to heaven and barging into the gates of hell. Do you really think the 9th floor of the 9 Dragons' Jade Wall is so easy to pass? If you are not strong enough and die in the 9th floor, even if Xingluo Sky City finds out, they can't blame us. The 9th floor of the 9 Dragons Jade Wall was filled with the mysteries of death. Yi Qinfeng did not know that. He was currently recovering from his injuries as he climbed up the stone steps. He made his way to the top of the 9 Dragons Jade Wall and the 9th floor of the 9 Dragons Jade Wall. Finally, Yi Qinfeng reached the limit of the 8th floor of the 9 Dragons Jade Wall. He tore through the spatial barrier and entered the 9th floor of the 9 Dragons Jade Wall. A towering stone tablet with 9 fire dragons circling it appeared above his head. It exuded a boundless aura, and an invisible pressure filled the air, making people have the urge to kneel down and worship it. Mobile reading site, book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click Save at the bottom to record your reading history. You will be able to see it the next time you open your bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 316 9 Dragon Stone Tablet. As Yi Qinfeng looked at the towering stone stele with 9 dragons circling it, he also felt shocked. It was as if this stone stele was suppressing his heart, making it impossible for him to summon any fighting spirit. I am someone who wants to surpass the heavenly Tao. A mere 9 dragon jade annulus is nothing to be afraid of. Yi Qinfeng took a deep breath as his unyielding heart dispelled the fear in his heart. The battle intent in his body reached its peak once again. Boom! When he stepped onto the first step of the 9-layered space, the pressure of the space swept over like a torrent and a tsunami, ruthlessly pressing down on his body. It forcibly shattered the blood dragon soul armor that covered his entire body, causing his body to tremble. As expected, the spatial pressure in the 9-layered space is 5 times that of the 8-layered space. Withstanding the overwhelming spatial pressure, Yi Qinfeng felt as if he was in a raging sea. The terrifying spatial pressure could destroy him at any time. Complete Sword Aura 1. 5 million gene of strength. Resist. Yi Qinfeng took a deep breath. Complete sword aura and powerful physical strength gushed out. He resisted the spatial pressure that could easily crush a Class 6 mystic beast sect expert as he continued to climb the stairs. Every step he took consumed a great deal of strength. His breathing was long and deep, and his exhalation was like that of a snake. Just as Yi Qinfeng, who was struggling to climb to the 10th step, a muddy and irresistible voice entered his ears. Stop here. You can't continue climbing. Who is it? Hearing the mysterious voice in the 9-layered space, Yi Qinfeng was startled as he looked around. Who I am is not important. What is important is that if you don't leave, this will be your grave. The mysterious voice warned. What a big tone. Yi Qinfeng held the titanic fault heavenly sword and said fearlessly, Stop pretending. Come out and fight. You don't know the meaning of death. The mysterious voice suddenly became sharp as a spatial crack appeared in front of Yi Qinfeng. A tall and sturdy man in a black robe with a silver devil mask appeared in front of Yi Qinfeng. He was holding a 6'6" long dragon pattern sword. What a terrifying aura. Who is this person? Why can he appear in the 9-layered space? Feeling the aura of the masked man, Yi Qinfeng sensed a strong sense of danger and was even more shocked by his appearance. Could it be that you are the King of Massacre? Suddenly, Yi Qinfeng had a flash of thought as he knew the identity of the masked man. There was only translation in the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus. The King of Massacre was the King of the Massacre. Ha ha ha. You are very smart to have guessed this king's identity. Unfortunately, smart people don't have good endings. Now that you know this king's identity, you are dead for sure. The masked man laughed and spoke with a murderous aura. King of the Massacre, I didn't expect you to be a despicable person. This is probably why no one has been able to pass through the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus for hundreds of years. After knowing the identity of the masked man, Yi Qinfeng had a serious expression. Although his strength was outstanding, he wasn't a match for the king of the massacre. However, according to the analysis of the God-Eater brain, the king of the massacre was only a 4th-level reverse beast king. He wasn't a 6th-level reverse beast king, like the rumors said. The 9-dragon jade annulus is mine. Other than this king, no one else has the right to share its secrets. The king of the massacre arrogantly said. However, for a 4th-level mystic beast ancestor to be able to reach this place, I have to admit that you are very special. If you didn't cultivate the 8 Sha Azura art and have something to do with Xingluo Sky City, this king would be interested in controlling you and making you work for me. No, you aren't the king of the massacre. You are an avatar of the king of the massacre. As he spoke, the God-Eater brain analyzed the king of the massacre and confirmed that he wasn't the true body of the king of the massacre. Instead, he had borrowed the power of the 9-dragon jade annulus to form an avatar. Ha ha ha, you have given me another surprise. I really don't have the heart to kill you. The king of the massacre was startled for a moment before he suddenly laughed wildly. His body released billowing killing intent like a storm, locking onto Yi Qinfeng. Buzz! A shocking sword light shot out. For a moment, the air in front of Yi Qinfeng distorted. The dazzling sword light brought along a sword cry as it slashed towards Yi Qinfeng. Facing the sudden attack of the king of the massacre, Yi Qinfeng immediately reacted. A thunderous sound rang out beneath Yi Qinfeng's feet. He endured the terrifying spatial pressure and summoned the golden rock wings. He quickly dodged into the air and avoided the king of the massacre's sword attack. Demonic beast wings. I didn't expect you to have such a fortuitous encounter. Seeing Yi Qinfeng condense a pair of golden rock wings with golden feathers that looked like sharp swords and a wingspan of more than 10 meters, Yi Qinfeng's sharp gaze shot out from the demonic face, causing everyone to tremble in fear. Hoo-hoo! The golden rock wings flapped violently, stirring up gusts of wind under the heavy pressure. Yi Qinfeng wanted to break through the encirclement of the king of the massacre and get closer to the 9-dragon jade annulus. Such a bold move was made after careful consideration. Although the king of the massacre was terrifying and had left behind an avatar in the 9-dragon jade annulus, Yi Qinfeng believed that the king of the massacre definitely didn't control the 9-dragon jade annulus. Otherwise, he could have killed him with a single thought. Therefore, he wanted to take the risk and get closer to the 9-dragon jade annulus. He wanted to borrow the power of the 9-dragon jade annulus to kill the king of the massacre's avatar. Although he might lose his life if the operation failed, Yi Qinfeng had no other choice. With how terrifying the king of the massacre's avatar was, it was impossible for him to escape. Waiting for death meant death. Thus, he could only gamble. Fortunately, the God-Eater brain had already deduced the mysteries of the first 8 Tao techniques. Yi Qinfeng believed that as long as the God-Eater brain was given enough time, it would definitely be able to understand the mysteries of the 9-dragon jade annulus and kill the king of the massacre's avatar. You are really bold. Even at this time, you still dare to approach the 9-dragon jade annulus. As he spoke, the king of the massacre continued to attack. Streaks of sword light that tore through space transformed into a giant dragon. It carried a tyrannical destructive force as it roared towards Yi Qinfeng. Facing the king of the massacre's attack, Yi Qinfeng was under immense pressure and had no way to dodge. He could only face the attack with all his strength. Several of his trump cards erupted at the same time. In an instant, Yi Qinfeng's attack power reached its limit. 7 swords of judgment, extreme cold. The perfect sword force was quickly deduced. The power of the great Tao transformed into an extreme cold sword light that heavily bombarded the dragon-like sword light, causing the space to tremble. The 2 terrifying attacks exploded at the same time. It was like 2 meteors colliding. The heavens and earth trembled and shockwaves rolled out. The rolling waves of energy crushed everything. Endless energy ripples rapidly surged. Puff! After facing the King of the Massacre's attack head-on, Yi Qinfeng was immediately injured by the powerful recoil. A large amount of blood sprayed out from his mouth. Golden rock bloodline burn! His injuries didn't slow down Yi Qinfeng's speed. He rapidly burned his golden rock bloodline, increasing his speed to the greatest extent. He pierced through the distorted space and slowly approached the 9-dragon jade annulus. Fire dragon destroys the world. The King of the Massacre didn't expect that Yi Qinfeng would also have an even more profound Dao technique. A ruthless light flashed in his eyes. 3 powers of the great Dao turned into 3 fire dragons that cut through space and slashed towards Yi Qinfeng. It's that move. Yi Qinfeng's pupils shrank. He recognized that the move the King of the Massacre used was the mysterious sword move from the 9-dragon jade annulus. However, when the King of the Massacre used it, its power was even greater. Wrath of God's punishment. At this critical moment, the 3 spiritual items rushed out of his body and quickly gathered, forming a destructive force. Under the suppression of Yi Qinfeng's will, it collided with the 3 sword Dao fire dragons. Boom! 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 The sound of destruction sounded like the end of the world. Endless shock waves spread out in the void. The entire space was in chaos. With the help of the shock waves, Yi Qinfeng, who was heavily injured, was thrown high into the air. He broke through the King of the Massacre's defensive line and approached the 9-dragon jade annulus without hesitation. Mobile reading site, book address. To make it easier for you to read it next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record your reading record. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 317. 9 Dragonstone Steel Blood Essence Ignition. Sensing the King of Massacre's pursuit, Yi Qinfeng gritted his teeth and burned all the blood essence in his body, raising his strength to the greatest extent as he tried to break out of the encirclement. Burning blood essence? Will it work? Seeing Yi Qinfeng's blood essence gushing out like smoke, the King of Massacre's eyes flashed with killing intent. He quickly formed a seal with his hands, and a ferocious golden lion was formed, roaring toward the sky. Lion seal. A lion's roar shook the heavens and earth, and the golden lion tore through the layers of spatial pressure, turning into a golden palm that fiercely pressed toward Yi Qinfeng. For Slaughter Style's eternal night, the lion's seal, filled with destructive power, rushed over, and Yi Qinfeng immediately felt suffocated. He decisively turned around, and the gigantic Fault heavenly sword in his hand shot out 100-meter-long sword light that stole the heavens and earth, slashing at the lion seal at close range. Rumble. The sound of space shattering rang out as the 2 powerful soul skills collided. The eternal night sword light shattered, and the earth-shattering energy tore through the 9 Dragonstone Steel's spatial pressure and bombarded Yi Qinfeng. Golden Rock Wings defend. The Golden Rock was a top-grade heavenly beast, and its wings' defense was far superior to Yi Qinfeng's physical body. Yi Qinfeng quickly controlled the Golden Rock wings to protect his body, forcibly enduring the destructive power of the attack. However, the King of Massacre's attack was too terrifying. The violent power still passed through the Golden Rock wings and bombarded Yi Qinfeng's body, injuring him, and a large amount of blood spurted out of his mouth. Rapid flight. Yi Qinfeng did not care about his injuries. Taking the opportunity when the spatial pressure was torn apart, he quickly flew toward the 9 Dragonstone Steel. When he was 20 steps away from the 9 Dragonstone Steel, 9 deafening dragon roars rang out, and the flying dragons circling around the stone steel roared, carrying the power of flames that could incinerate everything. They attacked Yi Qinfeng, preventing him from approaching the stone steel. Beast soul form. Caught in a pincer attack, Yi Qinfeng knew that he could no longer hold back. Otherwise, what awaited him would be death. He quickly transformed into his strongest beast soul form. Large patches of blood-red dragon scales covered his entire body, and a ferocious dragon head appeared on his chest. The king ancient rune on his forehead became even clearer, completely resisting the impact of the dragon power released by the 9 fire dragons. Beast soul form, emperor-level powerhouse. Seeing Yi Qinfeng transform into a beast soul form, the king of massacre was stunned. He couldn't believe that Yi Qinfeng was actually an emperor-level powerhouse. No, his aura can't be released by an emperor-level powerhouse. Sensing that Yi Qinfeng had transformed into a beast soul and was only exuding the aura of a second-tier defiant beast king, the king of massacre's eyes immediately lit up. He definitely has a big secret. Wrath of God's punishment. Taking advantage of the king of massacre's hesitation, ancient cold black ice, green spiritual fire, and purple spiritual thunder surged out of Yi Qinfeng's body and quickly gathered, forming a power that was like the punishment of a god. It bombarded the 9 fire dragons, instantly engulfing them. Roar, roar, roar. Attacked by the wrath of God's punishment, the 9 fire dragons were enraged. They released powerful dragon flames to attack, forcibly tearing a gap in the destructive storm that was engulfing them. Seeing the 9 fire dragons penetrating the gap in the destructive storm, the perfect sword force that gushed out quickly deduced the power of the Great Path. A large amount of thunder power surrounded Yi Qinfeng, forming a whirlpool of thunder that swept the heavens and the earth. The dense sound of thunder was incessant. 7 swords of judgment, thunder devour. Yi Qinfeng roared. The thunder power surrounding him quickly gathered, forming a purple lightning bolt. It tore the chaotic space apart and carried an unparalleled destructive power as it bombarded the 9 fire dragons. Boom, 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 boom. A blinding light exploded in the space, causing people to be unable to open their eyes. The terrifying thunder and lightning devoured everything, bombarding the 9 fire dragons like raging waves. The terrifying power of the Great Path destroyed the enormous bodies of the 9 fire dragons as easily as crushing dry weeds. Flames and lightning intersected, forming a distorted space. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The moment the fire dragons' bodies were destroyed, the 9 sword moves that were filled with the power of the Great Path flew out. It was like a divine sword that was filled with disdain, tearing apart the distorted space and bombarding Yi Qinfeng. God-devouring brain, it's all up to you. The 9 sword moves attacked. Not only did Yi Qinfeng not dodge, but he also flapped his golden rock wings and took the risk to rush forward. He wants to commit suicide? The king of massacre knew how terrifying the 9 sword moves were. Even this incarnation of his did not dare to face the strongest sword move head-on. Seeing Yi Qinfeng rushing forward without slowing down, the king of massacre thought that Yi Qinfeng was desperate and wanted to commit suicide. Seeing the 9 sword moves tearing him apart, Yi Qinfeng, who was flying at high speed, suddenly moved. His entire body twisted, and in a very strange posture, he dodged the 9 sword moves. What? He dodged? The king of massacre's eyes widened, not daring to believe the scene before him. Luckily, he managed to capture the attack trajectory of the last move of the Fire Dragon world. Even the king of massacre did not completely understand the attack trajectory of the Fire Dragon world. However, Yi Qinfeng, who was challenging the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus for the first time, did it. This made him feel that Yi Qinfeng was even more unfathomable, and his killing intent towards him grew stronger and stronger. The God-devouring brain really did not disappoint me. With the help of the God-devouring brain's deduction, Yi Qinfeng dodged the 9 sword moves. He let out a long breath and continued to face the terrifying spatial pressure, dodging the continuous attacks of the 9 sword moves. He slowly approached the towering stone tablet that contained the power of the Great Tao. Great Monument Star Fist. When the King of Massacre saw Yi Qianfeng continuously dodging the 9-sword moves, he was completely sure that Yi Qianfeng had really captured the attack trajectory of the Fire Dragon world. He immediately executed his killing move. A huge hand that was like a giant spiritual god appeared in the sky, releasing dazzling starlight. It was as if it could destroy all life, and it blasted towards Yi Qianfeng. For a moment, the space trembled and the earth shook. The terrifying energy caused the space around Yi Qianfeng to become chaotic. Tao technique. Feeling the great monument star fist that the King of Massacre executed contained the power of the great Tao, Yi Qianfeng's expression changed slightly. He did not hesitate to execute the 7 swords of judgment to counterattack. Thunder Devour. An endless amount of lightning surged out of Yi Qianfeng's body. Under the influence of the perfect sword form and the power of the Great Path, the lightning gathered to form a giant lightning sword. With a murderous intent that could annihilate everything, it slashed at the great monument star fist. Rumble! A thunderous sound reverberated throughout the 9 heavens. The energy that was like the fury of a god distorted the void. A large number of cracks spread out at a speed visible to the naked eye. After being affected by the collision of the 2 great Tao techniques, the 9-sword moves were also affected, and their attack speed was slowed down. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Yi Qianfeng endured the heavy injuries on his body and circulated the 6-meridian divine shield at high speed. He tore through the layers of spatial pressure and quickly approached the 9-dragon stone tablet. Courting death. When the King of Massacre saw that Yi Qianfeng was still able to kill his way out of the encirclement, the fury in his heart erupted. He burst forth with full speed to stop Yi Qianfeng. However, when he got close to the 9-sword moves, he was suddenly attacked by the 9-sword moves. Streaks of sword radiance that were filled with the power of the great Tao intertwined and formed a dense sword shadow that directly enveloped him. The airtight attack made it impossible for him to tear apart the sword moves. God-Eater Brain, I'm counting on you. Try your best to comprehend the 9-dragon stone tablet. From the corner of his eyes, Yi Qianfeng saw that the King of Massacre had been stopped by the 9-sword moves. He knew that his gamble was halfway to success. He quickly approached the 9-dragon stone tablet and released the power of the God-Eater Brain, seeping it into the tablet and quickly comprehending it. As long as the God-Eater Brain could comprehend the 9-dragon stone tablet, Yi Qianfeng believed that with the power of the 9-dragon stone tablet, he would definitely be able to kill the King of Massacre's avatar. Mobile reading website. Book address. To make it easier for you to read it next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 318. Killing the Avatar, the 9-dragon stone tablet, is mine. Anyone who dares to touch the 9-dragon stone tablet must die. When the King of Massacre saw Yi Qianfeng sitting cross-legged under the 9-dragon stone tablet and trying to comprehend it, he was instantly enraged. His entire body erupted with earth-shattering energy, bombarding the 9-sword moves. He wanted to forcibly break through the obstruction of the 9-sword moves and kill Yi Qianfeng. However, the might of the 9-sword moves was extremely terrifying. The King of Massacre's avatar, who only had half the strength of the King of Massacre, was unable to break through the obstruction of the 9-sword moves. He could only watch as the 9 dragons' stone tablet shot out beams of divine light, engulfing Yi Qianfeng. Fire Dragon annihilates the world. 5th move. The King of Massacre roared. 5 patterns of the great Tao appeared on his body, transforming into 5 fire dragons. They bared their fangs and brandished their claws as they bombarded the 9 sword moves. Great Monument, Star Fist. Next, the crazed king of massacre blasted out the Great Monument Star Fist, condensing a huge palm that covered the sky. It was like a huge star as it ruthlessly smashed forward. After being attacked by the king of massacre's killing moves, the 9 sword moves finally couldn't hold on any longer. Cracks appeared on the surface of the 9 sword moves, showing signs of disintegration. "Break for me!" the king of massacre roared. His entire body turned into a ray of violent sword light. Several patterns of the great Tao circled around the sword light. It was like a graceful swan as it bombarded the 9 sword moves. Finally, it broke through the 9 sword moves. Quick, look. Yi Qinfeng's ranking has moved again. Rank 10. He actually made it to rank 10 in all of history. Heavens, I actually witnessed a peerless genius making history with my own eyes. The instant the king of massacre broke through the 9 sword moves, the ranking stone shone with a dazzling white light. In the next instant, Yi Qinfeng's name disappeared from the 118th place. In the next instant, ripples appeared on the 10th place of the ranking stone. The name Yi Qinfeng miraculously appeared on the 10th place of the ranking stone. Number 10. Yi Qinfeng is going to challenge the test of the titled Battle Pet Warrior. I wonder if he can pass. Old Tian didn't know that there was an avatar of the King of Massacre in the 9 Dragon Jade Wall's 9-layered space. He was deeply shocked when he saw Yi Qinfeng's heaven-defying ranking. He had no doubt that if Yi Qinfeng didn't die, he would definitely be able to reach the pinnacle of the Duhan continent. Hoo-hoo! Elder Tian took a few deep breaths and suppressed his shock. He took out his communication bead and told Xue Kuluo the shocking news. 10th place. How is it possible for Yi Qinfeng to reach the 10th place in history? His Majesty's external incarnation in the 9-fold space actually failed to kill him. Hearing this news from Elder Tian, a look of disbelief appeared on Xue Kuluo's face. He could not believe that with Yi Qinfeng's strength he would be able to pass the 9-fold space's test despite the obstruction of the King of Massacre's avatar. What he didn't know was that Yi Qinfeng's heaven-defying ranking was due to the help of the King of Massacre's avatar. However, Yi Qinfeng was in a desperate situation at the moment. "Kid, it's time for you to die. Go to hell obediently." The King of Massacre tore through the layers of spatial pressure and rapidly closed in on Yi Qinfeng. He blasted out a low-grade Tao technique, Great Monument Star Fist, towards Yi Qinfeng, who was sitting cross-legged under the 9 Dragons stone tablet. Boom, 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 the space shook and the stars flickered. Once Yi Qinfeng was hit by the Great Monument Star Fist, he wouldn't be able to withstand it even in his beast soul form. 9 Dragonstone Steel, Sword Tao Pattern Attack. At this critical moment, Yi Qinfeng opened his eyes. Many Tao patterns flickered in his eyes. Under the God-Eater brain's extreme speed of deduction, 9 sword Tao patterns gushed out from the 9 Dragonstone Monument, bombarding the Great Monument Star Punch. The terrifying sword Tao patterns directly penetrated the Star Punch, neutralizing the King of Massacre's killer move and forcing him to retreat. What? How did he do it? How can he control the 9 Dragonstone Steel's attack? The King of Massacre might have comprehended the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus for hundreds of years and left his avatar in the 9-layer space. However, he couldn't control the 9 Dragonstone Steel's attack. On the other hand, Yi Qinfeng was able to control the 9 Dragonstone Steel in less than half an incense stick's worth of time. This made him shocked at Yi Qinfeng's methods, and at the same time, the killing intent in his heart grew even stronger. He felt that if he didn't eliminate Yi Qinfeng, the secrets of the 9 Dragonstone Steel might fall into the hands of Yi Qinfeng. At that time, all his efforts would be in vain. Yi Qinfeng might snatch away everything that belonged to him. Just as he was about to continue attacking, the 9 Dragonstone Steel started to change. A large number of Tao patterns gushed out of the 9 dragonstone steel and entered Yi Qinfeng's body. He is absorbing the Tao patterns in the 9 dragonstone steel. Seeing this scene, the King of Massacre revealed an expression as if he had seen a ghost. After comprehending the 9 dragonstone steel for hundreds of years, he knew very well how strange and elusive the Tao patterns in the stone steel were. And not only did Yi Qinfeng seem to have comprehended the mysteries of the 9 dragonstone steel, but he was also crazily absorbing the Tao patterns in the stone steel. Blazing Dragon World Annihilation. Great Steel Star Fist. Sensing a strong sense of danger from Yi Qinfeng, the King of Massacre didn't hesitate to attack with all his strength. A blazing dragon-like sword light and a giant hand that flickered with starlight continued to bombard Yi Qinfeng. Just as Yi Qinfeng was about to be annihilated by the violent attacks, 9 fire dragons suddenly broke out of the 9 dragonstone steel and revolved around Yi Qinfeng's body. They used their massive bodies to dissolve the King of Massacre's ferocious attacks. Blazing Dragon World Annihilation. 9th move, 9 Dragon Sword Slash. Yi Qinfeng, who was sitting cross-legged, suddenly flew up and stood at the peak of the towering 9 dragonstone steel. Borrowing the power of the 9 dragonstone steel, he blasted out the strongest move of the Blazing Dragon World Devastation. Under Yi Qinfeng's control, the 9 fire dragons that revolved around him turned into 9 sword Tao patterns. They carried a shocking force and cleaved towards the King of Massacre, whose expression changed drastically. The King of Massacre's avatar might be terrifying, but it couldn't withstand the power of the 9 dragonstone steel. It couldn't withstand the 9th move of the Blazing Dragon World Devastation that Yi Qinfeng used with the help of the 9 dragonstone steel, the 9 dragon sword slash. Chi, chi, chi. The King of Massacre's defense was broken through by the 9 dragon sword slash. His body was also penetrated by the 9 sword Tao patterns. Kid, you have truly exceeded my expectations. However, I still have one last move. Let's see if you can withstand it. The King of Massacre's avatar was penetrated by the sword Tao patterns. A powerful soul spirit energy surged out of his body and turned into a stream of light, blasting towards Yi Qinfeng's soul spirit. Facing the soul spirit attack of the King of Massacre's avatar, Yi Qinfeng didn't dodge. Instead, he allowed this powerful soul spirit to enter his mind. However, at the next moment, the King of Massacre's soul spirit let out a cry of horror. The God-Eater brain released a devouring whirlpool and directly devoured his soul spirit. No, what is this? After being devoured by the God-Eater brain, the King of Massacre's soul spirit struggled desperately. However, the existence of the God-Eater brain was too heaven-defying. His struggle was futile. His soul spirit was shredded by the devouring whirlpool and was ultimately devoured by the God-Eater brain. After devouring the soul spirit of the King of Massacre's avatar, the God-Eater brain wriggled rapidly and formed a large number of brain cells. It slowly nurtured the third soul Devour-Child brain. The moment the soul spirit of the King of Massacre's avatar was devoured by the God-Eater brain, the King of Massacre, who was in seclusion to break through to the combat beast sovereign realm, immediately suffered a soul spirit backlash. Cracks appeared in his soul spirit, and large amounts of blood flowed out from his 7 orifices. PFFF, PFFF, PFFF. The scariest thing when breaking through to the next realm was to be disturbed and suffer a soul spirit backlash. Large amounts of blood spurted out from the King of Massacre's mouth. The King of Massacre, who was on the verge of breaking through, ultimately suffered a soul spirit backlash and failed to break through to the combat beast sovereign realm. Mobile reading website, book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the bookmark button at the bottom to record this reading record. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 319. The Origin of Massacre City, Phew! I finally killed the King of Massacre's incarnation. Yi Chen Feng heaved a sigh of relief after the King of Massacre's incarnation was devoured by the God-Eater brain. If it wasn't for the fact that the God-Eater brain was heaven-defying enough to deduce the mysteries of the 9 Dragonstone Steel, allowing him to borrow the power of the 9 Dragonstone Steel to attack, he would have to use the Life Spirit technique as his final trump card. However, as his strength increased, using the Life Spirit technique consumed more and more of his lifespan. Unless he had no other choice, Yi Chen Feng didn't dare to use it casually. God-Eater brain inscribed the sword Dao patterns. Without the threat of the King of Massacre, Yi Chen Feng immediately calmed down. He controlled the God-Eater brain to quickly imprint the 9 mysterious sword-based Dao patterns on the 9 Dragonstone Steel, as well as the low-grade Dao technique, the Fiery Dragon Armageddon. Just as the God-engulfing brain imprinted the 9 sword-type Dao patterns on the 9 Dragonstone tablet and memorized the low-grade Dao technique, Flaming Dragon's Apocalypse, a deep voice suddenly rang out in Yi Chen Feng's mind. It has been tens of thousands of years. Finally, someone passed the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus perfectly. Junior, you did well. Who? Hearing the voice in his mind, Yi Chen Feng was stunned and asked in surprise. It doesn't matter who I am. What's important is that you pass my test and are qualified to obtain the treasures I left here, the mysterious voice said. Could this 9 Dragon Jade Annulus be a treasure that you left behind? Yi Chen Feng asked in surprise. Yes, it's not just this 9 Dragon Jade Annulus. Even the Tower of Massacre and the ancient North Sea were left behind by me. Their purpose was to suppress a powerful evil creature that escaped to this space, the mysterious voice said. When Yi Chen Feng heard the mysterious voice's words, great waves surged in his heart. The Massacre Pagoda, the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus, and the mysterious Northern Sea ancient land that countless people viewed as treasures were actually the work of a mysterious expert suppressing an evil being. Senior, are you from the Heaven region? Yi Chen Feng took a deep breath and suppressed the shock in his heart as he asked. To leave behind such an inheritance and treasure was already beyond the scope of the Duhan continent. You actually know about the heavenly realm. This is truly out of my expectations. The mysterious voice said, I am indeed from the heaven realm. As for my identity, I cannot tell you. If you ascend to the heaven realm one day, perhaps we will meet one day. Another powerful being from the Qingyun realm. Junior, do you want to obtain the treasures I left behind in the Northern Sea? The mysterious voice asked. Yes. Yi Chen Feng answered without thinking. If you want to obtain the treasures I left in the ancient land of the North Sea, you have to help me destroy that evil being. The mysterious soul said, Senior, you must be joking. How could I possibly destroy an evil being that even Senior couldn't destroy with your strength? Yi Chen Feng said with a bitter smile. Back then, I didn't come down with my true body. Instead, I used a wisp of my soul to parasitize a white dragon to chase after him. However, that white dragon's strength was limited. In the end, I only destroyed its body and created this Slaughter Pagoda and 9 Dragon Jade Annulus to suppress his soul in the ancient land of the Northern Sea. However, so many years have passed. Even if that evil soul didn't die, its soul should have been destroyed by the Slaughter Pagoda. The power of the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus should have disappeared. However, there is a mysterious treasure in your soul. Even I can't see through it. As long as your strength increases, you should be able to destroy that evil soul with the help of that treasure. The mysterious voice said, Senior, what level of treasures are the Slaughter Pagoda and 9 Dragon Jade Annulus? Yi Chen Feng pondered for a moment and asked, Sai, I am ashamed to say this. Because the materials in this world are too inferior, the Slaughter Pagoda and 9 Dragon Jade Annulus are the worst treasures I have ever refined in my life. They can only be considered as supreme-grade Dao tools. The mysterious voice sighed softly. supreme-grade Tao tools, and the worst treasures you have ever refined. Hearing the mysterious voice's words, Yi Qinfeng was speechless. Supreme-grade Tao tools could be said to be the most terrifying treasures in the Duhan continent. They contain the power to destroy heaven and earth. If Yi Qinfeng had a supreme-grade Tao tool, he would dare to challenge an emperor-level powerhouse. However, treasures that contained such terrifying power were like trash in the eyes of the mysterious voice. The Slaughter Pagoda and 9 Dragon Jade Annulus are not very valuable. However, there are 3 very precious treasures in the ancient land of the North Sea. The mysterious voice continued. What treasures? Yi Qinfeng quickly asked. Anything that could be called a treasure by the mysterious voice was definitely extraordinary. They are the skeleton of the white dragon that my soul entered, the skeleton of the evil creature that I destroyed, and the 2 dragon eggs that could not be nurtured. The mysterious voice said, There are dragon eggs in the ancient land of the North Sea. Could it be that the ancient egg that the sword puppet took was a dragon egg? Thinking that the ancient egg was obtained in the ancient land of the North Sea, Yi Qinfeng immediately guessed the origin of the ancient egg. Dragons are divine beasts. Even the weakest dragon has the ability to penetrate the heaven and earth. Generally, dragon bones are rarely left outside. Therefore, the skeleton of the white dragon is an extraordinary treasure in the heaven domain, and that evil creature is a ferocious golden white tiger. The white tiger is a top-grade divine beast like us dragons. Therefore, its skeleton is equally precious. Although the value of the dragon egg is far less than the 2 divine beast skeletons in your world, the dragon egg is also an extraordinary treasure. It can increase one's strength and transform one's body. In addition to these 3 treasures, the ancient land of the North Sea has been stained with the blood of the white dragon and the golden white tiger. It has become extremely fertile. After tens of thousands of years, the ancient land of the North Sea should have nurtured a large number of extremely precious spiritual items. If you can help me destroy that evil soul and remove one of my worries, the skeleton of the white dragon, the skeleton of the golden white tiger, the dragon eggs, and the spiritual items in the ancient land of the North Sea will all be yours. The mysterious voice said patiently, Okay, I am willing to enter the ancient land of the North Sea and destroy that evil soul for Senior. Although Yi Qinfeng knew that it would be very dangerous to destroy the evil soul, the skeleton of the white dragon, the skeleton of the golden white tiger, and the dragon eggs were too tempting. In addition, the God-Eater brain was the nemesis of all souls. Therefore, he decided to take the risk. Moreover, from what the mysterious voice said, Yi Qinfeng could vaguely guess its identity. It was very likely that it was an almighty of the dragon race, one of the overlords of the heaven domain. Then swear by the heavenly Tao. After the oath, I will give you the map of the ancient land of the North Sea. The mysterious voice said, Okay. Yi Qinfeng nodded and swore by the heavenly Tao in front of everyone. After the oath, the mysterious voice imprinted the map of the ancient land of the North Sea in the depths of his mind. It said, After tens of thousands of years, the ancient land of the North Sea is extremely dangerous. Before you have the strength of a combat beast emperor, remember not to force your way into the ancient land of the North Sea to avoid any accidents outside the ancient land of the North Sea. Don't worry, Senior. This junior will not force himself. Yi Qinfeng nodded and said, All right, before I send you off, I will give you some benefits. I will also give you a title. The mysterious voice said, What title is Senior going to give me? Yi Qinfeng asked curiously. A title that surpasses everyone, Sword God. After saying that, the 9 dragons' steel emitted endless white light of the great Tao and poured into Yi Qinfeng's body, rapidly increasing his strength. In the blink of an eye, Yi Qinfeng felt his body overflowing with soul power. The roaring, 2-headed blood dragon king in his soul also reached the limit of its soul power. In the next moment, Yi Qinfeng broke through to the 5th rank of the mystic beast ancestor realm. and his title appeared at the top of the 9-dragon stele, suppressing Kong Sungchin by Feng and the others, becoming the first person in the history of the 9-dragon jade annulus. Chapter 319. Sword, God the origin of Slaughter City. Phew! I finally killed the King of Slaughter's avatar! Yi Qinfeng heaved a sigh of relief when the King of Slaughter's avatar's soul was devoured by the God-Eater brain. If it wasn't for the God-Eater brain that was heaven-defying enough to deduce the mysteries of the 9-dragon stele, allowing him to borrow the power of the 9-dragon stele to attack, he would have to use the life spirit technique as his final trump card. However, as his strength increased, using the life spirit technique consumed more and more of his lifespan. In a situation where he had no other choice, Yi Qinfeng didn't dare to use it casually. God-Eater brain, imprint the sword Dao patterns. Without the threat of the King of Massacre, Yi Qinfeng immediately calmed down. He controlled the God-Eater brain to quickly inscribe the 9 mysterious sword-based Dao patterns on the 9 Dragonstone stele, as well as the low-grade Dao technique, the Flaming Dragon World Devastation. Just as the God-Eater brain engraved the 9 sword Dao inscriptions on the 9 Dragonstone tablet and memorized the low-grade Dao skill, Flaming Dragon's Apocalypse, a deep voice suddenly rang out in Yi Qinfeng's mind. After tens of thousands of years, someone finally passed the test of the 9-dragon jade annulus perfectly. Junior, you are very good. Who? Hearing the voice in his mind, Yi Qinfeng was stunned and asked in surprise. Who I am is not important. What is important is that you have passed my test and are qualified to obtain the treasures that I have left here, the mysterious voice said. Could this 9-dragon jade annulus be the treasure that you left behind? Yi Qinfeng asked in surprise. Yes, not only this 9-dragon jade annulus, but even the Tower of Massacre and the ancient North Sea were left behind by me. The purpose was to suppress a powerful evil creature that escaped to this space, the mysterious voice said. Hearing what the mysterious voice said, Yi Qinfeng's heart was in turmoil. The Tower of Massacre, the 9 dragons jade annulus, and the mysterious Northern Sea ancient land, which were viewed as treasures by countless people, were actually the work of a mysterious expert suppressing an evil being. Senior, are you from the heaven region? Yi Qinfeng took a deep breath and suppressed the shock in his heart as he asked. To be able to leave behind such treasures, it was already beyond the scope of the Duhan continent. You actually know about the heaven region? This is really beyond my expectations. The mysterious voice said, I am indeed from the heaven region. As for my identity, I can't tell you yet. If you ascend to the heaven region one day, perhaps you and I will meet one day. Yet another almighty from the heaven region. Junior, do you want to obtain the treasures that I have left behind in the ancient North Sea? The mysterious voice asked. Yes. Yi Qinfeng didn't even think before answering. If you want to obtain the treasures that I have left behind in the ancient North Sea, you have to help me destroy the evil creature. The mysterious voice said. Senior, you must be joking. How can I destroy an evil creature that even Senior can't destroy with your strength? Yi Qinfeng said with a bitter smile. Back then, I didn't come down with my true body. Instead, I put a strand of my soul into a white dragon to kill it. However, that white dragon's strength was limited. In the end, I could only destroy its body and create this slaughter pagoda and 9-dragon jade annulus to suppress its soul in the ancient North Sea. However, so many years have passed. Even if that evil soul didn't die, its soul should have been completely destroyed by the slaughter pagoda. The power of the 9-dragon jade annulus should have been completely depleted. However, there is a mysterious treasure in your soul that even I can't see through. As long as your strength increases, you should be able to destroy that evil soul with the help of that treasure. That will solve one of my worries, said the mysterious voice. Senior, what are the grades of this slaughter pagoda and 9-dragon jade annulus? Yi Qinfeng pondered for a moment and asked. Sai, I am ashamed to say this. Because the materials in this world are too inferior, This slaughter pagoda and 9 dragon jade annulus are the worst treasures that I have ever refined in my life. They can only be considered top-grade Tao tools. The mysterious voice said with a soft sigh, top-grade Tao tools and the worst treasures that you have ever refined. Hearing the mysterious voice's words, Yi Qinfeng was speechless. Top-grade Tao tools could be said to be the most terrifying treasures in the Duhan continent. They contain the power to destroy heaven and earth. If Yi Qinfeng had a top-grade Tao tool, he would dare to challenge an emperor-level powerhouse. However, treasures that contained such terrifying power were like trash in the eyes of the mysterious voice. The value of this slaughter pagoda and 9 dragon jade annulus isn't high. However, there are 3 very precious treasures in the ancient North Sea. The mysterious voice continued. What treasures? Yi Qinfeng quickly asked. Anything that could be called a treasure by the mysterious voice was definitely extraordinary. They are the white dragon skeleton that my soul was in, the evil creature skeleton that I destroyed, and the 2 dragon eggs that couldn't be nurtured, the mysterious voice said. There are dragon eggs in the ancient North Sea. Could it be that the ancient egg that the sword puppet took was a dragon egg? Thinking that the ancient egg was obtained in the ancient North Sea, Yi Qinfeng immediately guessed the origin of the ancient egg. Dragons are divine beasts. Even the weakest dragon has the ability to pierce through heaven and earth. Generally, dragon bones are rarely left outside. Therefore, the white dragon skeleton is an extraordinary treasure in the heaven domain, and that evil creature is a ferocious golden white tiger. White tigers are top-grade divine beasts like us dragons. Therefore, its skeleton is equally precious. Although the value of the dragon egg is far less than the 2 divine beast skeletons in your world, the dragon egg is also an extraordinary treasure. It can increase one's strength and transform one's body. In addition to these 3 treasures, the ancient North Sea has been stained with the blood of the white dragon and the golden white tiger. It has become extremely fertile. After tens of thousands of years, the ancient North Sea should have nurtured a large number of extremely precious spiritual items. If you can help me destroy that evil soul and remove one of my worries, the white dragon skeleton, the golden white tiger skeleton, the dragon egg, and the spiritual items in the ancient North Sea will all be yours. The mysterious voice said patiently, Okay, I am willing to enter the ancient North Sea and destroy that evil soul for Senior. Although Yi Qinfeng knew that it was very dangerous to destroy the evil soul, the white dragon skeleton, the golden white tiger skeleton, and the dragon egg were too tempting. In addition, the God-Eater brain was the nemesis of all souls. Therefore, he decided to take the risk. Moreover, from the mysterious voice's words, Yi Qinfeng vaguely guessed its identity. It was very likely that it was an almighty of the dragon race, one of the overlords of the heaven domain. Then make an oath with the heavenly Tao. After making the oath, I will give you the map of the ancient North Sea. The mysterious voice said, Okay. Yi Qinfeng nodded and made an oath with the heavenly Tao in front of everyone. After making the oath, the mysterious voice imprinted the map of the ancient North Sea in the depths of his mind and said, After tens of thousands of years, the ancient North Sea is extremely dangerous. Before you have the strength of a combat beast emperor, you must remember not to force your way into the ancient North Sea to avoid accidents outside the ancient North Sea. Senior, don't worry. I won't force myself. Yi Qinfeng nodded and said, Well, before I send you off, I will give you some benefits and give you a title, the mysterious voice said. Senior, what title are you going to give me? Yi Qinfeng asked curiously. A title that surpasses everyone, Sword God. With that, the 9-dragon stone tablet emitted endless white light of the great Tao and poured into Yi Qinfeng's body, rapidly increasing his strength. In an instant, Yi Qinfeng felt that his body was overflowing with soul power. The 2-headed blood dragon king, which was roaring and rolling in his soul, had also reached the limit of his soul power. In the next moment, Yi Qinfeng broke through and reached the 5th level of the mystic beast ancestor realm. And his title appeared at the top of the 9-dragon stone tablet, suppressing Kong Sunchen by Feng and the other 4, becoming the first person in the history of the 9 Dragons Jade Wall. Mobile reading site. Book address. In order to facilitate your next reading, you can click on the Save button below to record this reading record. You will see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 320. Title: Sword God. Look, Yi Qinfeng's name has disappeared again. I wonder what heights his name will reach this time. Outside the 9-dragon Jade Wall, the experts of the various layers who were eagerly waiting suddenly discovered that Yi Qinfeng's name had disappeared from the 10th position. All of them widened their eyes and looked towards the ranking stone. Even Elder Tian, whose heart was as calm as still water, stood up and waited for Yi Qinfeng's final results. In the next moment, Kong Sunchen, who had been at the top of the ranking stone for 13,000 years, dropped by 1 place. Yi Qinfeng's name replaced his and became number 1. What? Number 1? Am I seeing things? How did Yi Qinfeng become number 1? There must be a problem with the ranking stone. Even if Yi Qinfeng passed all the tests and obtained a title, he should be number 6, not number 1. Seeing Yi Qinfeng's final ranking, the entire 9-dragon Jade Wall space was in an uproar. Almost everyone had doubts about the ranking stone. Title. I wonder what title Yi Qinfeng obtained. Elder Tian, who had guarded the 9-dragon Jade Wall for thousands of years, knew that the ranking stone would never make a mistake. The only explanation was that Yi Qinfeng had obtained a title that far surpassed Kong Sunchen and the others. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Rays of golden light, more dazzling than the sun, suddenly shot out from the top of the ranking stone. For golden hooks and iron strokes appeared behind Yi Qinfeng's name. Yi Qinfeng, title, Sword God. Seeing Yi Qinfeng's title, the people who had been discussing and questioning the ranking stone felt as if their heads had been struck by lightning. A shock that came from the depths of their souls took over their bodies. They opened their mouths, but couldn't say a word for a long time. Title, Sword God. I actually made a bet with someone who obtained a god title. After witnessing Yi Qinfeng's title, Xiahou Chunyi was so scared that she was short of breath. Her face was pale, and her body began to tremble uncontrollably. He had no doubt that Yi Qinfeng had the ability to kill him. If House Xiahou knew that he'd deepened the feud between his family and Yi Qinfeng, they would be furious. Then how did Yi Qinfeng do it? He actually got a title with the word God in it. Elder Tian couldn't believe what he was seeing. It was as if everything was happening in a dream. In history, Kong Sunchen, Bai Feng, Zhang Biue, Sun Tu, and Xue He were all geniuses, but they had never received the title of God. Now, no one doubted the ranking stone anymore. A title that had the word God in it was worthy of being called number 1. Junior, I didn't expect your foundation to be so solid. Breaking through 1 level requires so much energy. Perhaps you really will ascend to the celestial realm one day, the mysterious voice praised. The energy left behind by the mysterious person in the 9-dragon steel was enough for an ordinary reverse beast king to break through. However, Yi Qinfeng, who was a 4th-level mystic beast ancestor, had only broken through 1 level after absorbing it. This showed that Yi Qinfeng had reached the level of a peerless king. However, it would be much more difficult for Yi Qinfeng to break through to the level of a peerless king. Oh, right, leave the 9-dragon jade annulus. What awaits you is a storm of blood. I don't have anything else to protect you. You can only rely on yourself, the mysterious voice said. I know. I believe that I can leave Slaughter City. When the mysterious voice gave him the title of Sword God, Yi Qinfeng knew what it meant. However, he was confident and fearless. He believed that no matter how great the obstacles were, they wouldn't be able to stop his fearless footsteps. Good, the mysterious voice said approvingly. After that, a spatial crack appeared. It was like a huge devouring mouth that swallowed Yi Chen-feng, who was standing there motionlessly, and sent him out of the 9 dragon jade annulus. He's out. Yi Chen-feng is out. Seeing the sudden crack on the 9 dragon jade annulus, the entire space became silent. Many pairs of reverent eyes looked at Yi Chen-feng, who was wearing a white robe and a pair of cloud-patterned boots. His temperament was natural, and he was neither happy nor sad. They watched as he summoned his golden pung wings and slowly flew down. Wings, peerless king. That Yi Chen-feng has broken through to the level of a peerless king? Those aren't soul wings. They're demonic beast wings. This young man has too many tricks up his sleeves. As expected of a genius from Xingluo Sky City. Plop. Just as the crowd was whispering, Yi Chen-feng glanced at Xiahou Chunyu, who was hiding in the crowd, with eyes as sharp as a sword and as cold as ice. Seeing Yi Chen-feng's sword-like eyes, Xiahou Chunyu felt as if he was being stared at by the god of death. Bean-sized beads of cold sweat continuously seeped out of his forehead. His legs trembled as he directly kneeled on the ground. Huff! A gust of wind rose. Yi Chen-feng didn't pay attention to the kneeling Xiahou Chunyu. He quickly flapped his golden pung wings and turned into a beam of golden light, appearing at the teleportation array. Through the teleportation array, he left the 9 dragon jade annulus space and returned to the 5th floor of the Slaughter Tower. At the same time, the King of Slaughter, who had suffered a soul backlash and failed to break through to the Battle Beast Emperor realm at the last moment, swallowed 3 heaven-rank soul pellets in succession, finally suppressing his injuries. Despicable brat, this king will definitely destroy you. In order to break through to the Battle Beast Emperor realm, the King of Slaughter had prepared for over a decade. But all of this had been ruined by Yi Chen-feng, and he had even suffered heavy injuries. Shadow, pass down my orders. Kill the Yi Chen-feng at all costs. He cannot be allowed to leave Slaughter City. The heavily injured King of Slaughter took out his communication bead and sent a message to Shadow. Your Majesty, Old Tian just sent news. Yi Chen-feng has passed through all the trials of the 9 dragon jade annulus and obtained the title of Sword God. His ranking has also risen to 1st place on the ranking stone. Shadow reported, titled Sword God. The King of Slaughter's eyes widened and his face darkened. He had a premonition that the thing he was most worried about had happened. He had left his avatar in the 9th layer space because he was afraid that the secret of the 9 dragon jade annulus would be taken away by someone else. Now that his avatar had been destroyed, the secret of the 9 dragon jade annulus might have been obtained by Yi Chen-feng. This made his pupils shrink, and a chilling, killing intent appeared in his eyes. Shadow, seal the Slaughter Tower and Slaughter City. Without my orders, no one is allowed to leave the city. Otherwise, kill without mercy. The King of Slaughter was like an angry lion as he roared loudly. Cough, cough! Because he was too agitated, 2 mouthfuls of blood sprayed out from his mouth as he roared. Your Majesty, are you injured? Shadow asked nervously when he heard the King of Slaughter's violent coughs. I'm fine. The King of Slaughter took a deep breath and suppressed his injuries. He coldly said, Remember, capture that brat. Don't kill him. I want to kill him with my own hands. Yes, Your Majesty. Shadow respectfully obeyed. Yi Chen-feng, I don't care who you are or what your background is. Everything in Slaughter City is mine. Anyone who dares to touch the secret of Slaughter City must die. When I force the secret of the 9 dragon jade annulus out of your mouth, I will let you taste all the pain in the world. I will torture you for thousands of years before I let you die. The King of Slaughter coldly said. He threw 2 heaven-level soul pills into his mouth and quickly healed his injuries. He stabilized his body that was heavily injured due to his failed breakthrough. When Slaughter City was sealed, Yi Chen-feng quickly appeared outside the teleportation array on the 5th floor of the Slaughter Tower. Yi Chen-feng, I've been waiting for you for a long time." At this time, a level 2 defiant beast king, wearing a blood-red robe and holding a sharp sword, appeared in front of Yi Qinfeng. He was emitting a fierce killing intent and pointed his sword at Yi Qinfeng. This person was the blood-slaughtering sword king that Yi Qinfeng wanted to kill. Mobile reading site. Book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this book. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 321. Those who obstruct me die. Blood, slaughtering sword king. Seeing the blood-slaughtering sword king pointing his sword at him, Yi Qinfeng's pupils immediately shrank to the size of a pinhole. The battle intent in his body suddenly erupted. He was like an unsheathed sword pointing at the blood-slaughtering sword king, incomparably sharp. What a sharp sword aura! Today, I want to see if a person with the title of God is worthy of his reputation. Feeling the sharp sword aura emitted by Yi Qinfeng, the blood-slaughtering sword king did not show any weakness. A violent and tyrannical aura gushed out of his body like a ferocious beast, pouncing forward and colliding with Yi Qinfeng's sword aura. A powerful vortex formed in the air, causing the air to churn violently. After breaking through to the second rank, the blood-slaughtering sword king's strength had become extremely frightening. The aura he emitted had even surpassed Yi Qinfeng's. When Yi Qinfeng was forced back a step by the aura released by the blood-slaughtering sword king, a dragon's roar resounded. The two-headed blood dragon king emitted a dazzling blood-red light, releasing an invincible dragon's might that shook the heaven and earth, tearing apart the blood-slaughtering sword king's aura. Those who obstruct me die. After fusing with the two-headed blood dragon king, Yi Qinfeng's strength directly soared to the peak of rank 1, defiant beast king. A sharp sword light streaked across the sky and slashed towards the blood-slaughtering sword king who was blocking him. It's still not certain who will die. Although Yi Qinfeng had created history, the prideful blood-slaughtering sword king was not convinced. He believed that with his strength and foundation, he could definitely kill Yi Qinfeng. Buzz! The blood-slaughtering sword king swung his arm, holding a low-grade heaven artifact, longsword, to meet the incoming sword ray. With a single slash, he pierced through the incoming sword ray, creating several sword shadows that enveloped Yi Qinfeng. 1,500,000 gene of force break! Yi Qinfeng roared as the sharp sword rays flashed before his eyes. His 6 meridians divine shield circulated at high speed. His strength of over 1.5 million kilograms was completely unleashed, pouring into the gigantic fault heavenly sword like a tide. The sword tore through the incoming sword rays like a hot knife through butter and forced the blood-slaughtering sword king back. What great strength! Feeling the power from the gigantic fault heavenly sword, the blood-slaughtering sword king's arm went numb, and a look of surprise appeared on his face. He had not expected that Yi Qinfeng's strength would exceed that of a level 4 heavenly beast, and was able to knock him back with a single sword strike. Instant kill! As the blood-slaying sword king retreated, the perfect sword aura erupted and locked onto him. Yi Qinfeng's entire body fused with the titanic fault heavenly sword, turning into a dazzling sword shadow. He left behind a deep sword scar in the air as he stabbed towards the blood-slaying sword king's chest with indiscernible speed. Seeing that the blood-slaughtering sword king's body was stabbed, his body swayed slightly as he quickly took 2 strange steps, creating several blood shadows as he dodged the instant kill. Golden Blood Crow bloodline, awaken! Sensing that Yi Qinfeng was far more difficult to deal with than he had imagined, the blood-slaughtering sword king no longer held back and activated the bloodline power in his body. A large bird appeared in his body, increasing his speed. In the next moment, The blood-slaughtering Sword King swayed and instantly turned into a flying shadow as he launched an attack at Yi Qinfeng. An ear-piercing sound pierced through the air. His speed was like a bolt of lightning. In the time it took for a spark to fly off a piece of flint, he appeared in front of Yi Qinfeng and slashed out streaks of erratic sword shadows, attacking Yi Qinfeng's body, activating his golden blood crow bloodline. The blood-slaughtering Sword King's attacks were as fast as lightning, making it impossible to guard against. However, Yi Qinfeng's soul was incomparably powerful, and he easily captured the attack trajectories of the sword images. Using form-shifting shadow, he shifted and dodged the blood-slaughtering Sword King's tide-like attacks. Cloud collapsing palm. At such a close distance, Yi Qinfeng blasted out a palm strike at the blood-slaughtering Sword King. The palm strike, which contained a force of 1,500,000 jin, caused the air to explode. Along with the powerful airflow, it pressed towards the blood-slaughtering Sword King's chest. Great Steel Star Fist. At this crucial moment, the blood-slaughtering Sword King rapidly reacted. His left hand shone with endless starlight as he unleashed a giant palm imbued with the aura of the Great Tao. Like a shooting star, it slammed into the cloud-collapsing palm. Bang! The two palm imprints collided together, forming a deafening sound of air exploding. The terrifying force of the collision set off a shockwave that suddenly exploded, shaking the ground until it was full of cracks. Great Steel Star Fist. Could it be that you're the disciple of the King of Massacre? Seeing that the blood-slaughtering Sword King actually knew the supreme technique of the King of Massacre, Yi Qinfeng immediately guessed his identity and understood why the blood-slaughtering Sword King had so many slaughter points. Yi Qinfeng, you know too much. The blood-slaughtering Sword King's eyes flared with killing intent as he suddenly burst forward, his surging sword intent locking onto Yi Qinfeng. A circular sword arc, like a full moon rising from the sea, hung high in the sky, releasing a terrifying killing intent and sword intent. Blood Moon Slash. The blood-slaughtering Sword King's right arm fused with the Heaven Tier longsword. A full moon-like sword ray slashed down, directly tearing a long gap in the air as it slashed toward Yi Qinfeng with an astonishing attack. 8 Sha Jura Art. Star Slayer. Yi Qinfeng's pupils shrank. Double killing halos appeared behind him, doubling his attacking power. A starry sky sword light filled with boundless killing intent formed a line between heaven and earth, blocking the blood moon slash. Boundless wind and waves were set off, causing the hull where the transmission array was located to shake violently, as if it could collapse at any moment. What a terrifying attack! Just who is fighting with the blood-slaughtering Sword King? A fifth-floor expert who had heard the commotion saw the battle between Yi Qinfeng and the blood-slaughtering Sword King from afar and was shocked by the destructive power of their attacks. Your information is outdated. That person is the newly crowned sword god Yi Qinfeng of the 9 Dragons, Jade Annulus, the #1 ranked expert of the 9 Dragons, Jade Annulus. Old White, who had just witnessed Yi Qinfeng create a miracle, boasted. What? The #1 ranked expert of the 9 Dragons, Jade Annulus? You're not lying to me, right? If you don't believe me, go take a look at the 9 Dragons, Jade Annulus. Right now, there are already many people rushing towards the 9 Dragons, Jade Annulus. They want to personally witness the glory of sword god Yi Qinfeng, Old White slowly said. For Slaughter Style's Eternal Night, Yi Qinfeng continuously erupted with a force of 1,000,000 jin, neutralizing the blood-slaughtering Sword King's tide-like attacks. A sword light that could split the sky and seize the light of heaven and earth swept up a black stream of light, slicing through all obstacles. It slashed towards the blood-slaughtering Sword King, colliding with the sword might of the blood-slaughtering Sword King. Rumble. Endless black light and blood shadows crisscrossed together, swallowing all the energy in the world. The terrifying impact formed a terrifying shockwave that directly collapsed the hull. The collapse of the hull did not affect the two's attacks. They used all of their abilities to fight fiercely, using speed to fight speed, using strength to fight strength. The sound of metal exploding resounded through the sky. Endless air currents swept up flying rocks, creating a gray haze. This blood-slaughtering Sword King is truly difficult to deal with. Yi Qinfeng felt that if he didn't obtain a great opportunity from the 9 dragons Jade Annulus and break through to the 5th-class Mystic Beast Ancestor realm, his offense would have been suppressed by the blood-slaughtering Sword King. Yi Qinfeng, die for me. After a long period of fruitless attacks, the blood-slaughtering Sword King was enraged. The black demon spirit fire and ancient spiritual thunder rushed out of his body, carrying the power of destruction as they blasted towards Yi Qinfeng. He wanted to borrow the power of the 2 spiritual items to heavily injure Yi Qinfeng. Sword Dao Pattern, Flame Dragon World Annihilation. The black demon spirit fire and ancient spiritual thunder blasted over. A sword Dao pattern rushed out of Yi Qinfeng's body and turned into a roaring flame dragon. It soared into the sky with a sharp and terrifying roar. It forcibly tore apart the attacks of the 2 spiritual items and slashed towards the blood-slaughtering Sword King, whose expression slightly changed. Boom! The space violently trembled for a moment. The blood-slaughtering Sword King was sent flying by Yi Qinfeng's sword that was filled with sword Dao pattern. A trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Mobile reading site, book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Collect button at the bottom to record this reading record. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 322. Lightning Devourer Incinerate, Sword Monarch. The blood-slaughtering Sword Monarch is injured. This Yi Qinfeng is truly worthy of being a titled sword god. With just a 5th-rank profound beast ancestor, he was actually able to injure the blood-slaughtering Sword Monarch, a 2nd-rank reverse beast monarch. This kind of talent is truly daunting. I'm afraid the outcome of this match is already decided. It's too early to make a conclusion. The blood-slaughtering Sword Monarch still hasn't used his trump card. Once he does, I feel that the blood-slaughtering Sword Monarch's chances of victory will be higher. Witnessing the unparalleled battle between the 2, the experts of the 5th floor who are hiding in the distance all expressed their opinions. Flame Dragon Annihilation, you actually comprehended this move in the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus. The blood-slaughtering Sword Monarch quickly wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth with his sleeve and looked at Yi Qinfeng in shock. As the disciple of the King of Massacre, the blood-slaughtering Sword Monarch had entered the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus more than once. He was well aware of how difficult it was to comprehend the Flame Dragon Annihilation. But this was the first time Yi Qinfeng had entered the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus. And not only had he passed all the trials and obtained his title, he had even comprehended the Flame Dragon Annihilation. This made the blood-slaughtering Sword Monarch feel an intense sense of defeat. Not only did I comprehend the Flame Dragon Annihilation, but I also destroyed the avatar your master left behind in the 9 Dragon Jade Annulus 9th layer. As the master of Massacre City, he actually despicably left behind an avatar in the 9-layer space to prevent the geniuses of the various major powers from passing all the trials. I really don't know how many geniuses have been buried by his sinister methods. Yi Qinfeng coldly snorted and deliberately revealed the truth to cause trouble for the King of Massacre. Sure enough, Yi Qinfeng's words caused an uproar in the surroundings. If Yi Qinfeng's words were true, then the King of Massacre's despicable methods would undoubtedly cause him a lot of trouble. Nonsense! You dare to slander my master. I swear I'll destroy you. The blood-slaughtering sword monarch roared and quickly swallowed a pill the size of a dragon's eye. It was covered in dense patterns and exuded a powerful demonic energy. Immediately, boundless demonic chi spread out from his body and dyed the entire space black. Wrath of God's punishment. As the blood-slaughtering sword monarch swallowed the demonic pill to increase his strength, ancient frost mystic ice, purple extreme spiritual lightning, and green spiritual fire gushed out of his body, rapidly gathering together to form a destructive force that bombarded the blood-slaughtering sword monarch with earth-shattering force. Slaughter all life. The blood-slaughtering sword monarch, who was shrouded in demonic aura, roared. Demonic aura surged out of his body and turned into a fan-shaped sword light, slashing at the wrath of divine retribution like it was capable of annihilating an army. Rumble! The thunderous sound reverberated through the 9 heavens, and the terrifying sound made one's heart tremble. The two extremely ferocious forces formed a storm of destruction, twisting the space and razing the collapsed palace to the ground. The ground cracked open, revealing bottomless fissures. Amidst the destructive tempest, a black battle suit covered the blood-slaying sword sovereign's body, helping him to neutralize 90% of the impact. Blood Moonchop. The blood-slaughtering sword monarch locked onto Yi Qinfeng through the engulfing tempest. A blood moon that connected heaven and earth tore through the tempest and slashed at Yi Qinfeng with astonishing momentum. The blood Moonchop's attack speed was too fast, and Yi Qinfeng, who was enduring the impact of the destructive tempest, couldn't evade. After being slashed by the blood-slaughtering sword monarch, he took 3 steps back while the blood in his body was violently surging. Yi Qinfeng, if you have any other moves, use them now. I'm afraid you won't have the chance if it's too late. After consuming the black demonic pill, the blood-slaughtering sword monarch's confidence increased exponentially. He quickly condensed the pale red soul wings and turned into an afterimage in midair, attacking Yi Qinfeng with extreme speed. You aren't qualified to force me to use all my moves. Blazing Dragon Annihilation, Triple Sword Slash. With the God-Eater Brains deduction, Yi Qinfeng grasped 3 mystical sword Dao patterns and could execute the 3rd move of Blazing Dragon Annihilation. Roar! 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 3 sword Dao patterns flew out of the gigantic Fault Heaven sword and turned into 3 aggressive flaming dragons that were baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. They carried astonishing destructive power and bombarded the blood-slaughtering sword monarch. Blood Shadow Chop. The blood-slaughtering sword monarch, who was flying at high speed, instantly transformed into 6 blood shadows. They stood in midair and made their move at the same time. They interweaved 6 blood-colored sword shadows and attacked the 3 flaming dragons. Boom! 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 6 thunderous explosions echoed as the 6 blood shadow chop cleaved the massive bodies of the flaming dragons and severed the sword Dao patterns in the flaming dragons. And this blood-slaughtering sword monarch actually grasped 2 sword Dao patterns. The moment the blood-slaughtering sword monarch attacked, Yi Qinfeng sensed the power of the sword Dao patterns in the blood shadow chop. It was because of the 2 sword Dao patterns that the blood-slaughtering sword monarch was able to break the blazing dragon annihilation. Triple sword slash. Blood devil art, massacre of all life. After forcefully breaking the blazing dragon annihilation, the blood-slaughtering sword monarch appeared above Yi Qinfeng's head and cleaved down with 2 sword Dao patterns. A deep sword scar appeared in the air as the blood-slaughtering sword monarch wanted to cleave Yi Qinfeng into 2 halves. 7 swords of judgment, extreme cold. After fighting for 30 minutes, Yi Qinfeng lost his patience after failing to kill the blood-slaughtering sword monarch. 3 sword Dao patterns surged out from his body and condensed into a sword light that contained extreme cold power. It froze the void and greeted the blood-slaughtering sword monarch. Kacha! Kacha! After fusing 3 sword Dao patterns, the power of the 7 swords of judgment became extremely terrifying. When it clashed with the massacre of all life blood-colored sword light, it shattered it like a hot knife through butter. What? This Yi Chen Feng even grasped a Tao skill? The blood-slaughtering sword monarch knew the power of the massacre of all life. After fusing 2 sword Tao patterns, the power of the massacre of all life had definitely reached the standard of a low-grade Tao skill. However, such a powerful attack was still shattered by Yi Chen Feng's soul skill, which made the blood-slaughtering sword monarch reveal a look of horror. A Class 5 mystic beast ancestor had the strength to fight against a Class 2 reverse beast monarch and even grasp 2 Tao skills. The blood-slaughtering sword monarch didn't dare to imagine how strong Yi Chen Feng would be if he had enough space to grow. This Yi Chen Feng must be eliminated. Wrath of divine punishment. While the blood-slaughtering sword monarch was in shock, Yi Chen Feng blasted out the wrath of divine punishment again. It distorted the space and blasted towards the blood-slaughtering sword monarch. When the blood-slaughtering sword monarch fused 2 sword Tao patterns and burst out with a powerful attack to forcefully tear apart the wrath of divine punishment, Yi Chen Feng summoned the golden rock wings and flew into the air with extreme speed. In the next moment, 3 sword Tao patterns surged out of his body and rapidly deduced the power of lightning. A large number of lightning vortexes revolved around his body. 7 swords of judgment, lightning devour. Yi Chen Feng roared. The lightning vortexes turned into a lightning sword that looked down on the world and slashed towards the blood-slaughtering sword monarch, whose expression changed greatly. Blood demon art, massacre of all life. Sensing the terror of Yi Chen Feng's move, the blood-slaughtering sword monarch didn't hesitate to use his killer move. Demonic chi surged out of his body like a volcano and turned into a strange blood-colored river that collided with the lightning sword. After fusing the 3 sword Tao patterns, the Thunder Devourer's power had more than doubled. The sword of lightning that cut through the void tore through the long blood river like crushing dry weeds and smashed into the blood-slaughtering Sword King's body under his horrified gaze. Boom! It was earth-shattering and earth-shaking. After the blood-slaughtering sword monarch suffered the attack of the lightning sword, his low-grade heaven artifact battle armor was blasted open. Half of his body turned into minced meat, blood, and organs scattered all over the ground. It was a ghastly sight. Soul devour, art, devour! Before the blood-slaughtering sword monarch breathed his last, Yi Chen Feng circulated the soul devour art and devoured his spiritual beast, the golden blood crow, ending his life. Chaos divine would devour the black demon's spirit fire and ancient spiritual thunder. After the blood-slaughtering sword monarch died, the black demon's spirit fire and ancient spiritual thunder that he subdued became ownerless items. Yi Chen Feng quickly controlled the chaos divine would and forcefully devoured these 2 spiritual items. He took away the blood-slaughtering sword monarch's corpse and prepared to leave. Mobile reading website. Book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Collect button at the bottom to record this reading. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 3:23. Burn, life, the blood-slaughtering Sword King is dead. The 5th level King of Slaughter, the blood-slaughtering Sword King, was killed by Yi Chen Feng. I heard that the 3rd level King of Slaughter, Lion Fire, and the 4th level King of Slaughter both died at the hands of Yi Chen Feng. Heavens, is he not afraid of the revenge of Slaughter City? Although many people had guessed this, they were still shocked when they personally witnessed the death of the blood-slaughtering Sword King. Dead, you bastard blood-slaughtering Sword King is finally dead. A black-robed, silver-masked man witnessed the scene of Yi Chen Feng killing the blood-slaughtering Sword King with a single strike. His entire body uncontrollably trembled as he spoke. Who? Yi Qin-feng stored the blood-slaughtering Sword King's remains into his spatial ring and drank a mouthful of heavenly fate water to recover his soul force. He then prepared to leave the slaughter tower through the transmission array. Follow me. Just as Yi Qin-feng shattered the rubble covering the teleportation formation, the silver-masked man suddenly rushed out from the crowd. He appeared beside Yi Qin-feng at an extremely fast speed and said, "You are." Yi Qin-feng frowned slightly as he looked at the silver-masked man who gave him a familiar feeling and asked in a low voice, "I am Eternal Vengeance, and I'm here to save you." The silver-masked man transmitted his voice. Eternal Vengeance. Yi Qin-feng's pupils shrank as he was slightly shocked. The blood-slaughtering Sword King is the disciple of the King of Slaughter. If you kill him to avenge me, the King of Slaughter will definitely not let you go. However, I have a way to safely send you out of Slaughter City. Follow me. Eternal Vengeance anxiously urged. Tell me the way to leave Slaughter City, and I will leave by myself. After being delayed by the blood-slaughtering Sword King, Slaughter City had become extremely dangerous. Yi Qin-feng knew that leaving the Slaughter Tower would bring him a storm of blood, so he did not want to implicate him. All right then, there is a teleportation formation hidden in the place where I live. As long as you can reach my place and crush this crystal, you will be able to activate the teleportation formation and leave Slaughter City directly. Yong Cho gave Yi Qin-feng a crystal-like polygonal crystal and said, "Many thanks." Yi Qin-feng put the polygonal crystal into his universe ring without hesitation. He immediately used the teleportation array to leave the 5th floor of the Tower of Slaughter and came to the entrance of the Tower of Slaughter. Boom! When Yi Qin-feng walked out of the Slaughter Pagoda in his tattered Heavenly Thunder battle armor, he felt the space in front of him tremble. A killing intent that could make one's liver and guts to explode locked onto him. A large amount of water ripples appeared in front of him. More than 30 Supreme Kings appeared outside the Tower of Slaughter, blocking his path. What a quick reaction! Looking at the 30 or so kings brimming with killing intent outside the Tower of Slaughter, Yi Qin-feng's pupils shrank into the most dangerous pinholes. However, there was not a trace of panic on his handsome face. "Yi Qin-feng, I have been waiting for you for a long time." Shui Kulo, who was wearing a blood-red robe, walked out from the group of Supreme Kings with steady steps. He looked at Yi Qin-feng coldly and said with a gloomy voice, "Your Slaughter City has sent out so many Supreme Kings to capture me. Should I feel honored?" Yi Qin-feng's lips curled up slightly as he said fearlessly, "You are still so stubborn even at death's door. Once I capture you, I would like to see if you can still be so stubborn." Shui Kuluo's eyes flickered with dense killing intent. A blood-red, demonic claw tore out of his body, leaving 5 bloody shadows in the air as it grabbed at Yi Qin-feng. Sword Dao pattern, fiery dragon destroys the world. 3 sword Dao patterns poured out of Yi Qin-feng's body and gathered in the gigantic Fault Heavenly Sword. A burning dragon broke out of the gigantic Fault Heavenly Sword with great destructive power, crashing into the blood-red demonic claw. Boom! 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 Fiery dragon destroys the world. You have actually comprehended this move. Seeing the fiery dragon blocking the blood-red demonic claw, Shui Kulo raised his eyebrows in shock. However, in the next moment, his eyes widened in shock. He stared at Yi Qin-feng in shock as if he had seen a ghost. Beast soul form, Emperor-level expert. Shui Kuo saw a large number of blood-red dragon scales covering Yi Qin-feng's body. A dragon tail swung out, and a ferocious dragon head was faintly discernible on his chest. The word King flashed on his forehead. He was completely stunned. Not only was Shui Kuo shocked by the scene before him, but the other absolute kings in Slaughter City were also stunned by the scene before them. Although they had the advantage in numbers, if Yi Qinfeng was truly an emperor-level expert, killing them would be as easy as slaughtering chickens. Many people looked at Yi Qinfeng in his beast soul form with fear. He is not an emperor-level expert. He must have grasped a transformation mystic art. Just as Yi Qinfeng transformed into his beast soul form and shocked everyone, the shadow, who had been hiding in the darkness, noticed Yi Qinfeng's strength and spoke. Whoosh! By the time everyone reacted, the golden rock wings extended from Yi Qinfeng's body, creating a hurricane. He carried Yi Qinfeng into the sky, flying out of Slaughter City at an extremely fast speed. Where do you think you're going? Xue Keluo saw Yi Qinfeng trying to escape and roared. A red bat appeared on his body, amplifying his strength and quickly intercepting Yi Qinfeng. The moment Xue Keluo intercepted, the shadow, who had been hiding in the darkness, also attacked like a venomous snake. Several sword-based Dao patterns that tore through the air shot out. They pierced towards Yi Qinfeng with ear-piercing sounds, forcefully intercepting him. Yi Qinfeng died. After catching up to Yi Qinfeng using the shadow's obstruction, Xue Keluo quickly attacked. Several Dao patterns surged out of his body, turning into a streak of scarlet light that shot toward Yi Qinfeng like a comet. Xue Keluo was a 4th-grade Defiant Beast King expert. His attack power was extremely terrifying. In order to kill Yi Qinfeng, he had used the power of Dao patterns. If Yi Qinfeng was hit by the red light, he would be severely injured even if he did not die. 7 Swords of Judgment, Extreme Cold. At this critical moment, Yi Qinfeng, who was in his beast soul form, reacted immediately. A large amount of cold air surged out of his body. Under the deduction of 3 sword-based Dao patterns, the extreme cold sword light formed and went forward. Rumble! The 2 powerful attacks collided. The explosive force was earth-shattering, sweeping through the void. PFFF. Facing Xue Keluo's Dao pattern attack head-on, the extreme cold sword light was shattered within 3 breaths. Yi Qinfeng was hit by the remaining impact. His entire body was sent flying, and a large amount of blood spurted out of his mouth. Yi Qinfeng surrendered obediently. After severely injuring Yi Qinfeng with 1 strike, Xue Keluo revealed a ferocious expression. Red blood light surged out of his body. Like a giant blood bat, he pounced towards Yi Qinfeng. You want to catch me? Try again in your next life. Life Spirit Technique. Burn life. Yi Qinfeng roared. In an instant, he burned 1,000 years of his life force. The powerful life force was like a volcanic eruption, erupting from his body. 1,000 years of life force was almost all of Yi Qinfeng's life force. In order to break out of the encirclement, Yi Qinfeng gave it his all. After fusing with the life force released by 1,000 years of life force, Yi Qinfeng's cultivation level rose steadily. In the blink of an eye, he had reached the 4th-grade Defiant Beast King realm. Mobile reading website. Book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on bookmark at the bottom to record this reading. You will see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 324. In a bloody battle, one's life hung by a thread. Instant kill. With his strength skyrocketing, Yi Qinfeng's entire body turned into an extremely thin blur. Like a dazzling bolt of lightning, it tore through the air and stabbed toward Xue Keluo's chest with extreme sharpness. After using the Life Spirit spell and becoming a level 4 Beast King, Yi Qinfeng's attack became even more frightening. He tore through Xue Keluo's attack like a hot knife through butter. He broke through Xue Keluo's defense and stabbed toward his chest. Not good. With his body's defense broken, blood-withered Luo was shocked. He instinctively tried to dodge, but Instant Kill's attack was too fast. His shoulder was still pierced by the sharp sword light, and a large amount of blood spurted out. Fourth level Defiant Beast King. How did he do it? How did his strength increase by a whole realm in just 1 second? Sensing that Yi Qinfeng's strength had skyrocketed in an instant, Shadow, who was chasing after him, felt a great wave of shock rise in his heart. He revealed a look of disbelief. Although the Shadow had cultivated for 1,000 years, he had never heard of such a shocking method, let alone seen it. Just how many trump cards does Yi Qinfeng still have up his sleeves? The Shadow no longer dared to underestimate Yi Qinfeng. He used all of his skills and launched a thunderous attack at him. The interweaving black sword shadows were like a giant mouth that swallowed Yi Qinfeng whole. 8. Slaughtering Azura Art Double Killing Halo. The Shadow attacked with all its might. 2 halos of slaughter appeared behind Yi Qinfeng, instantly increasing his attack power by 2-fold. The tide of soul power transformed into a giant sword that could split the heavens and split the earth. The sword broke apart the Shadow's thunderous attack, and a terrifying wave of air engulfed the 9 heavens. After transforming into his beast soul form, Yi Qinfeng's body's defensive power was greatly increased. The blood-red dragon scales and the tattered heavenly thunder battle armor were able to withstand the shock wave. In the next moment, a large amount of lightning surged out of his body, forming a lightning vortex around him. Countless lightning snakes danced wildly in midair, looking very spectacular. 7th Sword of Judgment. Thunder Devour! The lightning vortex quickly gathered. Under the guidance of the 3 sword Dao patterns, it formed a giant lightning sword that was dozens of meters long. It slashed through the sky and slashed at the Shadow that was chasing with all his might. When the giant thunder sword collided with the Shadow's sword Dao pattern, the chaotic void trembled and cracks appeared in the void. Kacha kacha! The 2 powerful attacks clashed against each other in the air for 2 breaths of time. The sword-based Dao patterns released by the Shadow were shattered. The powerful thunder sword continued to hack at the Shadow, forcing him back. A large amount of blood gushed out from his chest. After using the 7 swords of judgment to injure the Shadow, Yi Qinfeng did not follow up with another attack. Instead, he quickly flapped his golden rock wings, wanting to quickly leave the Massacre Inner City. But at this time, more than 10 defiant beast kings of Massacre City caught up to Yi Qinfeng while he was fighting with the Shadow. Dazzling soul skills bombarded Yi Qinfeng like stars. The boundless attacks seemed to be able to crush the sky, bringing a fatal threat to Yi Qinfeng. Wrath of Divine Punishment. Ancient profound ice, green spiritual fire, and purple spiritual lightning surged out of Yi Qinfeng's body, converging into a destructive power that collided with the soul skills of the defiant beast kings. Although the wrath of divine punishment was terrifying, it still couldn't withstand the soul skills of the defiant beast kings and was instantly torn apart. However, Yi Qinfeng seized the moment when the wrath of divine punishment was blocking the soul skills to burn his golden rock bloodline, increasing his strength to the greatest extent. He flapped his golden rock wings and flew into the sky, dodging the killer moves of the defiant beast kings. Yi Qinfeng, we've already surrounded Massacre City. You can't escape, even if you have wings. Shui Kuluo, who had consumed a heaven-rank soul pill to stabilize his injuries, flapped his soul wings and flew over. You want to trap me with just you? Try again in your next life. Facing danger didn't shake Yi Qinfeng's fearless confidence. With a flip of his right hand, 2 ghost king pearls that he had obtained from the heavenly ghost sect's treasury appeared in his palm. He threw them at the defiant beast kings, blocking his path. The ghost king pearls were said to contain the power of a ghost god, enough to kill a defiant beast king. The power of 2 ghost king pearls' explosion was earth-shattering, capable of destroying everything. Boom, boom. The 2 ghost king pearls were detonated by Yi Qinfeng as they flew towards the beast kings. 2 destructive waves of energy soared into the sky like a mushroom cloud. The powerful destructive force instantly engulfed the Beast Kings, crazily destroying their bodies. The entire space became extremely fragile. 7 Swords of Judgment. Thunder devour! When the defiant Beast Kings were swallowed by the explosion of the 2 Ghost King pearls, Yi Qianfeng used his killer move again. 3 sword Dao patterns formed a huge sword of thunder, splitting open a huge crack in the fragile space. It slashed at the severely injured defiant Beast Kings at a speed that was hard to see with the naked eye. After being attacked by the 2 Ghost King pearls, the defiant Beast Kings were already severely injured. Now, they were attacked by the huge sword of thunder, filled with sword Dao patterns. 7 defiant Beast Kings were directly cut into pieces. The storm of destruction that was surging wildly in the air dissipated into the horizon. After killing 7 defiant Beast Kings, Yi Qianfeng didn't continue to fight. He flapped his golden rock wings rapidly and turned into a stream of light in the sky. He broke through the encirclement and flew towards the outer city of Massacre City, where eternal vengeance resided. Mother asterisk her. Why does Yi Qianfeng have so many tricks up his sleeve? Yi Qianfeng had not only broken free from the encirclement, but also killed 7 defiant Beast Kings. This made Shui Kuluo want to vomit blood. He chased after Yi Qianfeng with all his might. Formation runes. This inner city is indeed protected by formation runes. Just as Yi Qianfeng flew to the edge of the inner city, his powerful soul sensed the formation rune's presence. The God-Eater brain quickly deduced, looking for the weak points of the formation runes. Yi Qianfeng, I told you can escape today. Shui Kuluo's face darkened as he roared with murderous intent. He quickly condensed Dao patterns and launched a thunderous attack at Yi Qianfeng. The moment Shui Kuluo attacked, Shadow and the defiant Beast Kings behind him attacked at the same time, using soul skills to attack Yi Qianfeng. Powerful soul skills fused together, turning into a furnace of heaven and earth that crushed toward Yi Qianfeng, trying to destroy him. 1 million gene of strength. 3 sword Dao patterns. Slaughter power. Break. Seeing that Yi Qianfeng was about to be engulfed by the heaven and earth furnace, the God-Eater brain quickly deduced and locked onto the weak points of the formation patterns. Many of Yi Qianfeng's foundations were unleashed from his body and injected into the gigantic Fault Heavenly Sword. The 81 offensive formation patterns in the Heavenly Sword were activated, and the sword pierced into the weak points of the formation patterns. Kachacha! Under Yi Qianfeng's all-out attack, cracks appeared on the surface of the indestructible formation. The powerful attack directly pierced through the formation, tearing a huge hole in it. When a gap appeared in the restriction, Yi Qianfeng flew out without any hesitation. However, the moment he flew out of the gap in the restriction, the heaven and earth furnace soul skill bombarded the restriction. The destructive energy passed through the gap and heavily bombarded Yi Qianfeng's body. The blood dragon scales covering his body were instantly shattered, damaging the heavenly lightning battle armor and sending him flying. Blood spurted out of his mouth as he fell from the sky and landed heavily on the ground. If Yi Qianfeng hadn't transformed into a beast soul and put on the damaged heavenly lightning battle armor, his body would have been destroyed by the furnace of heaven and earth. Yi Qianfeng's body would have been directly destroyed. Whoosh! Yi Qianfeng took a deep breath. Ignoring the injuries on his body, he quickly got up from the ground. Just as he endured the heavy injuries on his body and ran towards Yong Chao's courtyard, a murderous aura that made him feel fear locked onto him. Mobile reading site. Book address. To make it easier for you to read it next time, you can click on the Save button below to record this reading. You will see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 325. Thrilling Teleportation, King of Massacre. In the entire Slaughter City, only the King of Slaughter could release such a killing intent that made him shudder. In the next moment, a black figure flashed before Yi Qinfeng's eyes. It was the tall and sturdy king of Massacre, who was dressed in a black robe, blocking Yi Qinfeng. Even at his peak condition and using all his trump cards, Yi Qinfeng was no match for the king of Massacre, who was a half-step beast emperor. Now that he was heavily injured, he was even less of a match for the king of Massacre. Yi Qinfeng, we meet again. I really did not expect that you would be able to escape from the encirclement of my people. The somewhat pale king of Massacre held his hands behind his back as he looked at Yi Qinfeng with a deep gaze. Then he spoke with neither joy nor sorrow. Aren't you overestimating those trash? Even if they had twice as many people, I would not be afraid. Facing an undefeatable enemy, Yi Qinfeng did not force his way out. Instead, he stood there calmly and sneered. His voice was full of mockery and ridicule. Yi Qinfeng, don't be so arrogant. If you have the guts, fight me one-on-one. Xue, Kuluo, and the others, who had closed the inner city's restrictions, almost vomited blood when they heard Yi Qinfeng's arrogant tone. Xue Kuluo, whose face was as gloomy as water, roared loudly. One-on-one? Yi Qinfeng's lips curled up slightly. Fine, I agree to fight you one-on-one. If I lose, you can do whatever you want of me. But if I win, let me go. Impossible! Hearing Yi Qinfeng's conditions, the panting Xue Kuluo immediately rejected. Although Xue Kuluo really wanted to kill Yi Qinfeng with his own hands, after seeing Yi Qinfeng's shocking trump cards and having his shoulder pierced by Yi Qinfeng's sword, he was clearly not confident. I knew you were only good with your mouth. Yi Qinfeng shook his head and mocked in front of everyone. But is it useful to have a strong mouth? I'm standing right here. If you have the guts, bite me. You, as the great elder of Slaughter City, when had Xue Kuluo ever suffered such humiliation? Being humiliated by Yi Qinfeng, Xue Kuluo's face turned from white to green, from green to purple, from purple to black. His entire body trembled, and his hair stood on end. Haha, Yi Qinfeng, you are truly an interesting person. Even I am somewhat reluctant to kill you. The king of slaughter laughed loudly when he heard Yi Qinfeng's sharp counterattack. King of slaughter, I admit that I am no match for you. However, before you make a move against me, you'd best think carefully about who is behind me. Think about the consequences of harming me. Yi Qinfeng intentionally used Xingluo Sky City to pressure the king of Massacre. Humph! My Slaughter City and Xingluo Sky City have always minded their own business. You have broken the rules by coming to my Slaughter City. Moreover, you have killed my disciple and destroyed my clone. Do you think my Slaughter City is so easy to bully? Hearing Yi Qinfeng using Xingluo Sky City to pressure him, the king of slaughter's face instantly turned gloomy. A powerful, baleful aura emanated from his body, pressing down on Yi Qinfeng. Yi Qinfeng straightened his back, withstanding the baleful aura that was sweeping down on him, and said fearlessly, I have come to Slaughter City under my master's permission. If you have the guts, you can find my master and seek justice. Who is your master? The king of slaughter asked gloomily. My master is Sha Tinya. I don't know if you have heard of his name. Yi Qinfeng purposely mentioned the disciple of the 8 Shaowar Emperor, who was also his enemy, Xingluo Sky City, Lord Sha Tinya. Sha Tinya, Sha Tinya. The king of slaughter repeated Sha Tinya's name twice. Suddenly his expression changed. He looked straight at Yi Qinfeng and said, You said your master is Sha Tinya? That's right. Yi Qinfeng nodded and said arrogantly, Impossible. The old Sha City Lord has been in seclusion for many years. No one knows whether he is alive or dead. He would never accept you as his disciple. After the death of the 8 Shaowar Emperor, Sha Tinya could be said to be the #1 person in Xingluo continent. Hearing Yi Qinfeng claim to be Sha Tinya's disciple, the king of slaughter could not help but suspect his true identity. After all, Sha Tinya had not been involved in worldly affairs for more than 1,000 years. Now, only a few people knew his name. For Yi Chenfeng to be able to say his name, even if he was not Sha Tinya's disciple, his status in Xingluo Sky City would not be low. Whether I am lying or not, you can ask Xingluo Sky City. Yi Chenfeng said in a neither arrogant nor humble manner. His calm demeanor made the King of Slaughter's heart beat faster. If Yi Chenfeng was really Sha Tinya's disciple in his later years, then the King of Slaughter would not dare to harm Yi Chenfeng. If he angered Sha Tinya, it would bring a devastating disaster to Slaughter City. However, the secret of the 9-dragon jade annulus was too important. The King of Slaughter would not allow Yi Chenfeng to take this secret away. He was now in a dilemma. All right, I will contact Xingluo Sky City now. If you are really the old Sha City, Lord's disciple, I will give him some face. In the end, Sha Tinya's reputation made the King of Slaughter yield. He took out a high-grade communication pearl in front of everyone and tried to contact the higher-ups of Xingluo Sky City. Seeing that the King of Slaughter actually had a way to contact the people of Xingluo Sky City, Yi Chenfeng's eyes twitched slightly. Although it was very slight, the King of Slaughter still caught it. "Brat, you dare to lie to me?" Seeing the slight change in Yi Chenfeng's expression, the King of Slaughter immediately confirmed that there was a problem with Yi Chenfeng's identity. He was enraged and suddenly attacked Yi Chenfeng. "Primal chaos power, break for me!" As the King of Slaughter attacked, 2 thin strands of primal chaos power broke through Yi Chenfeng's body. They tore through space and bombarded the King of Slaughter at close range. Although the King of Slaughter was powerful, the primal chaos power nurtured by the primal chaos divine was even more terrifying. It directly broke through his body's defenses and injured his body, triggering the old injuries that he had been trying to suppress. The moment the primal chaos divine would injure the King of Slaughter, Yi Chenfeng immediately ignited his blood essence power and golden rock bloodline to forcefully suppress his injuries. He streaked past the King of Slaughter and flew towards Yong Chao's courtyard with extreme speed. "Yi Chenfeng, where do you think you are going?" The King of Slaughter, who had been injured by the primal chaos power, was enraged. Ignoring his injuries, a black sword light shot out like a bolt of lightning from the 9 heavens, striking towards Yi Chenfeng. So, the instant the King of Slaughter attacked, Yi Chenfeng's sharp soul spirit sensed it. He quickly flapped his golden rock wings and dodged the black sword light. He slowly approached Yong Chao's courtyard. Chase! Shwek Koluo and the others, who had recovered from their shock, also chased after Yi Chenfeng. A series of ear-piercing sounds reverberated through the 9 heavens. "I've finally arrived." Yi Chenfeng saw the large number of runes covering Yong Chao's courtyard. He immediately controlled the god Eater Brain to deduce the runes and quickly flew in. Great Monument, Star Fist. Seeing Yi Chenfeng fly into Yong Chao's courtyard, the King of Slaughter, who was relying on his absolute speed to close the distance, sent out a punch. It distorted the void and blasted towards Yi Chenfeng. "Sword Puppet, defend!" At this critical moment, upon receiving Yi Chenfeng's order, the Sword Puppet, which had been lying in ambush under Yong Chao's courtyard, emerged and used its indestructible body to block the attack of the Great Monument Star Fist. Boom! Starlight and thunder shook the heavens. The King of Slaughter's attack was a Dao technique that could easily kill a peerless king. However, it was easily blocked by the Sword Puppet's body. As for Shwek Koluo and the others, when they saw the Sword Puppet calmly break out of their encirclement, they were even more incredulous. They had never imagined that the Sword Puppet that had wreaked havoc in the auction house, stolen the ancient egg, and humiliated the Tower of Slaughter really had something to do with Yi Chenfeng. Teleportation array, activate. The moment Yi Chenfeng put the Sword Puppet into his yin and yang ring, he crushed the crystal that Yong Chou had given him. In the next instant, a powerful teleportation energy surged out from the courtyard and bombarded Yi Qinfeng's body before the King of Slaughter could attack. For a moment, air currents soared into the sky, and the heavens and earth trembled. In the blink of an eye, Yi Qinfeng disappeared into the chaotic horizon. He had been teleported away from the murderous city of Slaughter. Buzz, buzz. Just as Yi Qinfeng was teleported away, the King of Slaughter's communication bead lit up. He had received a message from someone from Xingluo Sky City. What? When the King of Slaughter learned that Yi Qinfeng was not a genius from Xingluo Sky City, the Xingluo Sky City was furious that Yi Qinfeng knew the 8 Sha Jura art and the 4 slaughter styles, and the righteous faction experts were rushing here to kill him. A burst of anger exploded in his chest. He had never dreamed that he would be played by a brat. Yi Qinfeng, I'll kill you no matter if you're in the sky or on the ground. The King of Slaughter let out an uncontrollable roar of rage. His terrifying roar reverberated throughout the 9 heavens, lingering for a long time. Mobile reading site. Book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the Save button below to record this book. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 326. It really was a dragon egg. Seawater, beach, island, coconut tree. Phew, I finally escaped. Yi Qinfeng lay flat on the fine beach, allowing the waves to wash over him as he spoke with lingering fear. If not for eternal enmity's help, Yi Qinfeng felt that his chances of escaping from Slaughter City were extremely slim. The King of Slaughter's terror made him feel powerless and fearful. Strength. I have to increase my strength as soon as possible. Yi Qinfeng rested for a while, recovering some of his strength and injuries. He crawled up from the beach and drank a large amount of Spring of Life, recovering his strength. He took out the dark gold universe ring he obtained from killing the blood-slaughtering Sword Sovereign. Break. With a thought, Yi Qinfeng sent the power of the God-Eater brain into the universe ring, forcibly breaking open the restrictions on the ring and releasing his soul into it. 2. 3 million slaughter points. This blood-slaughtering Sword Sovereign is truly rich, as expected of the King of Slaughter's disciple. Besides the slaughter points, the other treasures in the blood-slaughtering Sword Sovereign's universe ring also caused Yi Qinfeng's heart to stir. Jade Marrow Heavenly Pill, Sword Dao Stone Engraving, top-grade Heaven Rank Soul Skill Blood Demon Art, a Class 5 Heavenly Beast Core, a bright red fruit, a self-exploding bead that was even more terrifying than the Ghost King Pearl, 2 dead spirit stones stained with mysterious blood, a top-grade crafting stone star iron, 5,000 high-grade soul crystals, and 2 million mid-grade soul crystals. In addition to the low-grade heaven rank blood demon battle armor and blood demon sword, the Chaos Divine would swallow the ancient spirit lightning and the black demon spirit fire. Yi Qinfeng's harvest this time was enough to cause even emperor-level powerhouses to go green with envy. Dragon blood fruit. This fruit is a dragon blood fruit. When Yi Qinfeng controlled the God-Eater brain to sense the scarlet fruit, the God-Eater brain sent back an important message. This fruit was actually a dragon blood fruit that had been nurtured by absorbing dragon blood. Its value exceeded that of a heaven-grade soul pill. Slaughter puppet, give me that ancient egg. Thinking that the sword spirit puppet still had an ancient egg that looked like a dragon egg, Yi Qinfeng immediately summoned the sword spirit puppet and obtained the priceless ancient egg that the sword spirit puppet had forcefully snatched away. God-Eater brain, infiltrate. A powerful soul force shot out from Yi Qinfeng's forehead and landed on the surface of the ancient egg. It penetrated the ancient egg with all its might and probed its true situation. However, this ancient egg contained an enormous amount of energy, and its outer shell was extremely sturdy. The soul force released by the God-Eater brain was unable to penetrate it for the time being. This made Yi Qinfeng very surprised. However, Yi Qinfeng didn't give up. He continued to control the God-Eater brain to release soul power. After about 2 hours, Yi Qinfeng's relentless efforts finally allowed a strand of soul-devouring power to seep into the ancient egg. He felt a power that made his soul tremble. This is the power of a dragon. This egg is really one of the 2 dragon eggs in the Northern Sea. Yi Qinfeng was wild with joy after sensing the power of a dragon. He didn't expect his luck to be so good. He hadn't even entered the Northern Sea and had already obtained one of its most precious treasures. With this dragon egg, it should be much easier for me to break through to the reverse Beast King realm. Because the 2-headed Blood Dragon King was too powerful, Yi Qinfeng needed an enormous amount of energy to break through to the reverse Beast King realm. And this dragon egg just so happened to solve his urgent problem. He believed that the energy contained within the dragon egg would be enough to help him break through to the reverse Beast King realm. Green spirit fire, black demon spirit fire, fuse. In this dangerous situation, Yi Qinfeng did not blindly refine the dragon blood fruits. He put them into his spatial pouch and began to fuse the green spirit fire with the black demon spirit fire and the purple extreme lightning with the ancient lightning. Once the spirit fire and spiritual lightning were fused, he believed that the power of the wrath of divine punishment would at least double. Its destructive power would be enough to kill a peerless king. Just as Yi Qinfeng was borrowing the power of the primal chaos divine would to fuse with the spirit fire and spiritual lightning, a huge ship broke through the blue sea and rapidly sailed through the sea. Your Majesty, have you sensed the aura of that little bastard's identity token? Shue Kulo, who was wearing a blood-red robe and a pair of snake-scaled boots, asked in a low voice as he looked at the boundless blue sea with a gloomy expression. Just thinking about how Yi Qinfeng had pretended to be a core disciple of Xingluo Sky City and played him like a fool, Shue Kuluo gritted his teeth in anger. He wanted nothing more than to capture him and tear him to pieces to vent his anger. He's just 300 nautical miles away. The King of Massacre, who was wearing a black robe and exuding a murderous aura, stood up on the deck. His deep eyes flashed with a chilling, murderous aura as he spoke in a bone-chilling voice. After speaking, 2 blood-red soul wings extended from the King of Massacre's body, creating a gust of wind. His entire body shot into the sky, flying toward the island Yi Qinfeng was on at an extremely fast speed. Green spirit fire, black devil spirit fire, fuse. About a day later, under the control of the primal chaos divine wood, the green spirit fire and black devil spirit fire fused together, forming the dark extreme fire that was comparable to heavenly fire. After the dark extreme fire was formed, the purple extreme spiritual lightning and ancient spiritual lightning began to fuse together, forming the ancient extreme purple lightning that was comparable to heavenly lightning. Primal chaos power, the primal chaos divine, would have formed 2 more strands of primal chaos power. The dark extreme fire and ancient extreme purple lightning had formed, and the primal chaos divine would have formed 2 more strands of primal chaos power. This had increased Yi Qinfeng's life-saving trump card. However, Yi Qinfeng did not rejoice for long. His sharp senses suddenly sensed danger approaching him at an extremely fast speed. Not good, it's the King of Massacre. How did he catch up so quickly? Yi Qinfeng's heart trembled. He immediately guessed that there was something on his body that the King of Massacre could sense. Right, the identity token. It should be the identity token. Thinking that the identity token was forged by the Massacre City, the King of Massacre might have a method to track the identity token. Without hesitation, Shao Qin took out the identity token with over 2 million slaughter points and threw it into the blue sea. Following that, Yi Qinfeng summoned the golden rock wings. He did not dare to escape in the sky. Instead, he quickly dove into the blue sea and swam down at an extremely fast speed. He wanted to use the complicated terrain of the sea to escape the King of Massacre's pursuit. His soul is so powerful. He actually sensed me ahead of time. The King of Massacre discovered that Yi Qinfeng had thrown away the identity token and fled into the sea. He immediately knew that his whereabouts had been exposed. He revealed a shocked expression. He was shocked by Yi Qinfeng's sharp soul perception. Even at such a great distance, Lin Ming was still able to sense him ahead of time. Yi Qinfeng, even if I have to escape into the heavens or the earth, I will still capture you. After confirming that Yi Qinfeng was not a genius from Xingluo Sky City, the King of Massacre no longer had any worries. He fiercely flapped his blood-red soul wings and chased after Yi Qinfeng with all his strength. Bang! A pillar of water shot up into the sky and exploded on the surface of the sea. The King of Massacre turned into a beam of blood-red light and broke into the sea. Under the King of Massacre's extreme speed, the distance between him and Yi Qinfeng was constantly shortened. The crisis of death once again enveloped Yi Qinfeng. The rapidly escaping Yi Qinfeng could already clearly feel the intense killing intent coming from the King of Massacre's body. Mobile reading site. Book address. In order to make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the save button at the bottom to record this book. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 327. Ancient North Sea. Yi Qinfeng, let's see where you can escape to today. The King of Massacre roared as he flapped his blood-red soul wings violently, cutting through the bone-chilling seawater. What should I do? How can I shake him off? The King of Massacre's strength was too terrifying. Even if Yi Qinfeng used all his trump cards, he would not be a match for the King of Massacre. Sensing that the King of Massacre was getting closer and closer, Yi Qinfeng could not help but feel anxious. I have to risk it. Perhaps that is the only place where I can shake him off. After thinking about it, Yi Qinfeng thought of the only place where he could shake off the King of Massacre's pursuit, the ancient North Sea. Although the mysterious voice had warned him not to go to the ancient North Sea before he reached the Emperor Realm, he had no other choice at this moment. Once he was caught by the King of Massacre, what awaited him would not only be death, but also endless torture and humiliation. Thus, Yi Qinfeng would rather take the risk and enter the ancient North Sea than let the King of Massacre capture him. After making his decision, Yi Qinfeng quickly searched through his memories. A complete map of the ancient North Sea appeared in his mind, including the vast sea region around the ancient North Sea. My luck is not bad. This place is not too far from the ancient North Sea. Yi Qinfeng quickly dived to the bottom of the sea at a depth of more than 10,000 meters. Comparing the topographic map of the North Sea ancient lands that appeared in his mind, he basically confirmed that the entrance of the North Sea ancient lands was very close to Slaughter City. He quickly ignited the Golden Rock bloodline and passed through the bone-chilling and extremely pressurizing seawater, flying over at an extremely fast speed. However, at this moment, the King of Massacre was getting faster and faster. He was slowly closing in on Jiang Yi. Swish! A pitch-black sword light tore through the seawater and slashed towards the fleeing Yi Qinfeng at a speed that was hard to see with the naked eye. Just as Yi Qinfeng's back was about to be pierced by this black sword light, the rapidly swimming Yi Qinfeng seemed to have eyes on his back. He quickly swayed and dodged the black sword light, continuing to flee. After the first strike, the King of Massacre continued to attack. Black sword lights pierced through the seawater and headed for Yi Qinfeng. However, with Yi Qinfeng's sharp soul perception, he reacted quickly. He quickly dodged, avoiding the sword lights that were coming at him. Yi Qinfeng, let's see where you can escape to this time. Although Yi Qinfeng dodged all of the attacks, the King of Massacre seized the opportunity when Yi Qinfeng dodged and closed the distance between them. When Yi Qinfeng sensed that the King of Massacre's killing intent had locked onto him, he immediately reacted. 3 sword Dao patterns shot out and formed a lightning whirlpool around his body. 7 swords of judgment. Thunder devour! With a swing of his sword, the whirlpool of lightning that was tearing apart the seawater quickly gathered together to form a huge lightning sword. It split the seawater in half and slashed towards the King of Massacre with astonishing, destructive power. Great monument, star fist, break! As the lightning sword slashed over, the King of Massacre, who was swimming at high speed, didn't dodge. A huge hand formed by several Tao patterns broke out of his body. It was swaying with dazzling starlight as it punched the lightning sword, forcibly breaking it. A large amount of violent energy spread out, causing a huge whirlpool to appear at the bottom of the sea. Self-exploding stone explode! Just as the King of Massacre was about to forcefully pass through the whirlpool, Yi Qinfeng raised his right hand. A pitch-black crystal containing destructive power shot out towards the King of Massacre. The crystal that Yi Qinfeng shot out was the one he obtained from killing the blood-slaughtering Sword King. It was several times stronger than the Ghost King's pearl. Rumble! Before the King of Massacre could react, the self-exploding stone exploded, causing a world-shaking destructive power to erupt. A huge spatial hole was blasted open at the bottom of the sea, and it shot towards the King of Massacre at close range. Although the King of Massacre was powerful and had 1 foot in the combat beast emperor realm, the explosive power of this self-exploding stone was too terrifying. It directly shattered his body's defenses and sent him flying hundreds of meters away. Yi Qinfeng grabbed this opportunity and flapped his golden rock wings rapidly, continuing to fly towards the ancient North Sea. Yi Qinfeng, I swear that when I catch you, I will let you taste all the pain in the world. The King of Massacre, who had aggravated his old injuries, spat out a mouthful of blood. He looked at Yi Qinfeng's fleeing figure and let out a furious roar. The powerful sound waves caused the seawater to churn violently. Let's talk about it after you catch me. Yi Qinfeng flew faster and faster. His astonishing speed left a trail of light behind him, directly tearing the seawater in half. Soul power, burn! The King of Massacre took a deep breath and forcefully suppressed his injuries. He burned the soul power in his body, and large amounts of blood light appeared on the surface of his soul wings. He increased his speed to the greatest extent and chased after Yi Qinfeng with all his might. Damn it! This King of Massacre's flying speed is too fast. Yi Qinfeng flew rapidly for more than an hour at the bottom of the sea. He once again felt the killing intent released by the King of Massacre locking onto him. Yi Qinfeng, let's see where you can escape to this time. The King of Massacre roared as 3 sword Tao patterns flew out from his body, turning into 3 flaming dragons that bared their fangs and claws. They roared as they attacked Yi Qinfeng. Qi and blood burn. Yi Qinfeng didn't dare to face the King of Massacre's flaming dragons' annihilation head-on. He didn't care about the price of burning his qi and blood, rapidly increasing his strength. He relied on his speed to dodge the fatal attacks of the 3 flaming dragons. Boom! The 3 flaming dragons exploded in the pitch-black bottom of the sea. The dazzling flames illuminated the bottom of the sea, causing the seawater to churn violently. It greatly affected Yi Qinfeng's speed of escape. Extreme speed. The instant Yi Qinfeng's speed slowed down, the King of Massacre executed a secret technique and instantly increased his speed by 1-fold. He pierced through the chaotic seawater and instantly appeared 5 meters behind Yi Qinfeng. Primal Chaos Force. Just as the King of Massacre was about to execute his killer move and severely injure Yi Qinfeng, the Primal Chaos Divine would produce 2 strands of Primal Chaos Force that flew out and shot towards the King of Massacre. The King of Massacre's reaction speed was extremely fast. Before the 2 strands of Primal Chaos Force arrived, he had already made the judgment and quickly dodged. However, the Primal Chaos Force produced by the Primal Chaos Divine was completely under Yi Qinfeng's control. The moment the King of Massacre dodged, the 2 strands of Massacre Force suddenly changed directions and shot towards the King of Massacre from both sides. TSK. TSK. The King of Massacre's defenses were forcefully broken by the two strands of Primal Chaos Force. The powerful attack injured the King of Massacre once again. A large amount of blood flowed out from his chest. Damn it, what kind of power is this? After having his defenses broken by the Primal Chaos Force consecutively, the King of Massacre felt his heart palpitating at the power of the Primal Chaos Force. On the other hand, Yi Qinfeng grasped the opportunity and once again increased the distance between him and the King of Massacre. He slowly approached a bottomless trench. The most mysterious ancient land in the North Sea Ancient Land, was right below this trench. That's the North Sea Ancient Land. Is he going to enter the North Sea Ancient Land? Looking at the trench that stretched for an unknown number of nautical miles, the King of Massacre's expression changed slightly. He recognized that the trench was the entrance to the North Sea Ancient Land and revealed a look of hesitation. While the King of Massacre was hesitating, Yi Qinfeng, who did not reduce his speed, directly entered the trench and disappeared. It seems like the secret that Yi Qinfeng obtained from the 9-dragon jade annulus might be related to the North Sea Ancient Land. Thinking that Yi Qinfeng definitely did not enter the trench by chance, the King of Massacre hesitated for a moment. The greed in his heart overcame his fear. The soul wings on his back flapped rapidly and flew into the dangerous trench at an extremely fast speed. He continued to pursue Yi Qinfeng. Mobile reading website. Book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record your reading history. You will be able to see it the next time you open your bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support.